practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing.
Me?
We want you to smoke the natural herb.
Sweet.
Some call it marijuana.
Sweet.
Some call it sensory.
Sweet.
Some call it dance.
The tea.
And some people call it.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I'm your host, Adam Dunn.
I'm Dave Charnick.
I'm J-Lo.
And we are live in the studio. We've got TJ hanging out with us from Mountain
Select.
Yeah, what's up,
just like
guys?
Space Master Select. And we might get to talk to Chris. We'll see. Hopefully he's listening to the show and he knows we want to talk.
Come on, Chris.
Chris, we want to talk to you.
We want to talk to you.
It's only been 3 times. He's going for 4 times. He's shooting for the 4th. But we also have Jeff Gard coming in later. If you got anything you need to know legal, this is the moment. Get some free legal advice. Might not be the right advice, but it'll be free. So you can go to DunnDeal@AdamDunnShow.com and send that in. You can also send in your light request at the same address if you want to get involved with the next month's light giveaway.
Before it turns off, push the bottom button once.
And we have all sorts of little treats out on the table. We got Vinny's Buchakis back.
Buchaki.
The Buchakis are back.
I was so hungry last
Buchakier
night.
than ever.
How many did you eat?
I ate like 3 or 4 last night. Woke up.
You sound like you ate like 6 of them.
Yeah, today.
I did. I ate.
Sound like me.
Oh, I did wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. with
Last time?
No, last night with the fucking, the anxiety that just your head is fucking spinning.
Yeah.
And
You
now
got buchakied.
Sleep was the
you
farthest
got
thing.
what? You brought those home?
No. I purposely left this loaded so I wouldn't have to fuck with it in the dark.
Yeah.
I just got up. I didn't even fucking think. I went right through it. Boom. Took a hit. Coughed my lungs up. Boom. Didn't wake up till 7 o'clock.
Nice.
Right?
I got Buchakied last week though, where I got home.
Vinny, I fucking love you. My mic's off. Vinny, I fucking love you. Will you send me that for my birthday?
What's that?
In him saying that.
Oh, Buchaki.
That he got Buchakied. That would be great. Like, they do that.
I got fully Buchakied from every side.
What is that where you call up and you can get a celebrity to make a cameo? I want that.
Well, anyway.
Anyways, how did you get buchakied there?
I went home. Well, basically, I got home, and it was definitely. I can always. Basically, Cece's like, what? She'll say what to me 3 times, and I'll know that Buchakis are hurting.
Did you think you were actually verbalizing something to her?
I knew, but I knew I could hear that was going. But then it was like, I went. Then I got really fucked. Because that was funny. Then I got super hungry, like, oh my God, hungry. Went nuts, and then completely passed out, and then woke up like comatose. You can't even see it. It's so white. Got comatose. Like literally, like I was like, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't I was like looking at the thing I needed to do, and I was going, this is not going to happen.
Do my arms work?
Yeah, exactly.
Do
I was
I have
like,
fingers?
damn you, Buchaki. I did one of those. Shake my fist at it into the air. No, but it was they work, I have to say.
Those, like every time I can't talk on the podcast, everybody thinks it's all these other things.
No.
It's definitely the chocolates.
It's not like I would turn down ever giving them shit, but Vinny is a chocolatier, I would say. He's ascended. And you've gone, I've watched your progression. You take much more effort into it right now. Notice he turned my mic up when I was saying that.
Yeah.
Much more effort into it right now. And even though I can't stand white chocolate, just the thought of it, the way you make it look like
Buchaki.
Buchakis.
Why don't you like white chocolate?
because it's not really chocolate.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
On its
of
own,
it.
So
it's,
call
on
it
its own,
something
it's
else.
swag. On its own,
Yeah.
like if it's this, it's okay. But if it's on its own, it's like
It's the
this
mids of chocolate.
is
Yeah,
some bullshit.
cookies and cream.
How
what
was
do
the
you
CBD one?
No?
It's awesome. I've been eating it every night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean,
eat
I
one of
just
those
had
things
one
every night.
for the show, and
Pass the
they
fuck
taste
out.
great. So we'll see how the night ends.
So the label on your
That's just
fresh
cut like a
press is
railway.
Dave proof. I tried to rip this right there. It wasn't happening. So
It's
don't
those
try to
high-quality
do that.
stickers.
Yeah,
Ooh, that is cool.
yeah. Don't try to rip it off. But make sure. I'm reading the label here. You keep this away from children.
So it just did a interview with Farmer Tom also, so keep an eye out for that. It is Heroes of the Green, was it? I think that's what it's called.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's double, triple packed.
That's
Oh, hold
proper.
on.
Yeah, we put that seal on it
Proper.
to protect it. And
Yeah, that's
that
awesome,
way
dude.
There's no oxidization to it, and you can crack that seal. It's like,
And you can
it's
totally tell
your-
if Dave
your
like
gram.
scoops them out before he gave it to you or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Was I shorted?
What did I say to you? I even put it on a fucking scale. I said I ordered the wrong fucking thing and it came in one tub, so I took it out for the two of you rather than not have you have any. Motherfuckers. I even put it on the fucking scale, made sure they were, one was exactly 1 gram and one was 1.04.
Did you take the one?
I got a box. I got a secret box here.
I appreciate. I was just kidding.
From
Secret
Macy's.
box
Secret
box.
admirer.
from a secret admirer.
No, it's from Vinny.
Oh,
It's from Vinny. It's
Oh
a
my
very
God.
what? What?
Smell that.
What?
Look at it.
God damn.
It's pretty sexy.
Yeah, I like it. I like the look too. Greasy.
It is
Greasy.
greasy. And it's
I got
the
that
There's
as
a
a
new
drop.
sheriff in town, everybody.
I have that as a drop. Greasy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Greasy.
It really
Guess
is
what?
gorgeous. I'll show you.
Oh,
It is
look at that.
Friday the 13th,
Nice.
bro.
MCI, can we show?
I was
it a
literally
mask?
about to order one again. I was like, you know,
Oh,
I
wait,
kind of got to
wait,
order a
wait.
new one because
Because.
can't be a
So my homie hooked
without
you
a
up,
king.
bro.
So hard for me. Sorry.
And there's a.
Where did we? So we think it's
Oh,
totally
I know exactly
lost?
where it is.
Oh.
No, I know exactly. It was in my pocket at MJ BizCon, and then it got lost.
His royalty
He's
mask.
back.
His royal majesty disappeared.
Oh, looks like I'll never be shaving. It looks
on
like
a
I'll be
venture
shaving
far
all the
away.
time from now on. Cause
You got
But
the
alas,
queen. Where's
the
the
kingdom
queen?
shall only be
You.
void of its leader. A
you
short
have
while,
her, don't you?
they say.
Have her.
What happened to the rest
you
of
guys
them?
aren't even reading the
As-
poem. He's reading the
As
poem to you
cannabis
guys.
royalty,
Where? I
you
don't
shall decree that King Friday has returned today.
Oh, shout
Friday
out
the
to
13th.
shout
He's
out
back.
to
King Friday the
Mark.
He's
13th.
back.
Shout out to Mark.
Now for all those people
need
who
Not
this
couldn't hear
Mark.
you,
Yeah.
Adam
Not
was
this
talking
Mark.
over
I'm
you.
garbage.
Read it again.
Garbage Mark over here.
Garbage Mark is no
Wow, I'm pretty stoked. I was literally about to order one because I was like, I can't not have that. How can I ever do fucking Mr. Rogers again? And Vegas has been hitting me up. They've been like, dude, we need Mr. Rogers. They want me back as Mr. Rogers.
What if we dress up as the whole thing for
the problem is
Really, that's what you're going to say? And
prob-
you don't say anything for the first 20 minutes of the show, and then you're going to have us dressing up like fucking Mr. Rogers.
the problem is there's
neighborhood.
nobody else is on the show that isn't recognizable except for Mr. Rogers. Like nobody would know who any of those people
Yeah,
are.
just dress up like
a little boy.
Dress up like the puppets.
Mr. McFeely, who would know?
Wasn't there a post guy or
Old
something?
people.
Really old people.
yeah.
Like
What if we're
nobody's.
I don't think the
And a
kids were paying
postman.
attention to
What
that.
if we just
Mr.
dress
Green
up
Jeans.
as
Mr.
his-
Green Jeans, there you go.
And
That
the
was the guy.
postman.
That was the guy. But you would not know who he was if you saw him.
What if
Oh,
he
yeah,
does?
that's
you
Mr.
would.
Green
Yeah,
Jeans. You would?
Yeah, for
What if
sure.
we're all
Pull up
his
Mr.
like
Green Jeans. Let me see this guy.
change of clothes or like change of shoes? Like what if we're just like your change of clothes and change of shoes?
Look at that. It's the perfect.
Dave's-
Oh, that is a porno. Come on.
What?
Dude,
It's a porno?
the way... Just
From this angle, it looks like
Yeah.
he's hanging.
turn the angle so you can see where I see.
Oh wait, that's
Can
Captain
you-
Kangaroo. dog.
Oh, you see, you got your
Oh, yeah.
dudes
sorry.
wrong.
Dudes
Yeah, that's
wrong.
Captain
Look at
Kangaroo.
Oh, wait, head back, and then.
Son of a.
This is
There you go.
They had to be a
Sad.
Playing with
mailman.
toys, playing with dolls.
This is who he was talking about, but
Oh,
it's
that's
not.
totally not.
that's Dave for sure.
Oh, Dave, you could.
definitely-
Oh, Dave, you could go as Miss Captain Kangaroo, and I will be Mr. Rogers, and we will be the dynamic duo. I like it.
Well, what the fuck do I call
Dave
it?
could do it, dude.
Dave, you can do
Come
it.
on, Dave.
You can do it.
That's
You
good.
can do it. Oh, let's do
See
it.
it.
Mark,
good shit, then.
superimpose the cannabis jacket onto him right there. Go do that for a second.
I'm gonna bring
I'm
the
good.
train.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna get
Come
right
on,
on it.
Jamie.
Wait, that's a drop.
No, that was you as Captain Kangaroo is fucking epic. Let's do it.
Epic.
Yeah,
Do it.
You gotta
Epic.
do it. You gotta do it.
Got to do it.
Totally.
We'll start a GoFundMe.
Love you guys.
For what? You just gotta
For the
shave
whole-
your fucking shit and get a shirt and a thing and then cut
Get
the
a
hair.
cowboy
You're
hat.
going to
You're
see my
good.
chicken.
You just need to
Basically, just go in your closet. We'll give you
go look at
5
Captain
minutes.
Kangaroo. I
You
bet,
want me to go back in the closet, J-Lo?
I bet Captain Kangaroo has
What?
a fucking waddle too. Take a look.
Captain Kangaroo has
Waddle?
a
You have a widow waddle?
Why is he so mad?
I don't know. He doesn't like to waddle.
I'm not mad. It's like I wore the wrong undershirt for this one, and like the white keeps sticking out. I'm like, why does my face look like wrong?
And then you were worried about your sweatshirt.
So happy
you
Friday
changed
the
into a
13th.
shirt.
Thank you, sir.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah,
That's
that was
perfect.
nice of you,
good,
Vinny.
Good move.
Good move.
He nailed it. He
He's
nailed
watching
it.
right now too.
No, he nailed it. You nailed it. You're like, wait a minute. It's Friday the 13th. Yeah. I'm getting that thing.
Oh yeah, we get it.
So maybe we should
This
ask.
one's got a better face than the other one.
way better face.
Let's ask
the other
TJ
one had a
some
kinda cooler-
questions
Color.
Yeah.
before Kelly gets here.
And they're all sort of
Butterface.
Let's
they're all
ask,
sort of creepy.
Oh, King Butterface.
King Butter.
we should ask TJ some questions before Telly gets here and gets all butthurt that we have a rosin person on the show.
God.
Yep, here we go.
Oh yeah,
All right,
because-
bye.
don't
See you
expose his
next time.
rosinness.
Well, I do have a question
go
because
grab it, son?
rosin sort of it came onto the scene. We just accepted it, concentrate, but now there's not rosin. There's fresh press rosin. There's Rosin Jam. There's cold cure. So maybe I'm looking and I can see a definite difference in the extract. I mean, what was the first one we had?
Papaya
The cold
gelato.
cure. That was cold cure. Was very fluffy. It came right off on the tool. You know, I could drop it right in. It burned so clean. There was no remnants of anything in it. And then I opened up this papaya gelato and was overcome.
This one.
Right.
Yep.
Strawberry smash and was overcome by the terps.
Yeah. that one's
Overcome by
really
the
nice.
terps. But it behaves more like the traditional rosin where it stretches.
Yeah, it's more of that like tackiness to it. Kind of almost looks like a shatter to it. But
Yes.
instead of it breaking off into little pieces, it's more of that tackiness and almost like a sap.
A little bit more pliable to work with.
Yep. And
So tell us a little bit about the actual cold cure process.
yeah, so the difference isn't really is what we're doing to the product is how we finish them. Fresh press, of course, we don't have to manipulate it to do anything. What we're doing is we're able to gram it up and then put it right into the freezer and preserve it in its fresh press state. So it's unaltered, it's traditional rosin. And then once we're doing something like cold cure, what we're going to do is we're going to collect it into a jar, and then we're going to put it into room temperature, and we set it. We don't let it ever get above about 70 degrees, and the reason being is we don't want it to start to oxidize itself, but also to gas off too much to the point where, you know, it's a little bit drier. And so when we're doing that, we're letting it completely crash out, and when I mean crash out, the terpenes are a hydrocarbon gas, and so they're always trying to become a liquid and rise to the top. And so what they do is they start to separate from the THCA and rise to the top. And then what we're able to do is once it's fully separated, we can then mix it up, and then it becomes a shelf-stable like batter.
Yeah.
And that's where you see a lot of those really wet batters and stuff that are out there.
Because that's one of the things I always try to focus on is stability, is shelf stability, just in general.
Yep.
Because it's like people don't think about it, but it's like, hey, especially if it's in the way the market goes, it doesn't get into you can get to the final person for sometimes
Correct. And
way
al-
too long.
And also the user's knowledge of the product. Some of these people will buy it and think that it'll be like shatter where they can leave it out on the countertop and it'll be fine. And then they come back later at night and it's starting to nucleate and separate, and they're like, "Whoa, what's going on? It's drying out."
Yeah.
And then
Wait,
they
this
almost
is radioactive?
no, it's not. So when I say, I mean it's just separating and breaking itself down. And like I said, the terpenes are always a gas, and so it's trying to liquidate itself.
It's
So
like
it's breaking itself
remember the
down.
shatter days when it would be like, oh, look at that, and you see like
Starting to
one-
sugar up.
one little just. It's like, oh, you're like, that's going down.
It's going down,
And,
yep.
and people don't get it, and then it's like, yep, there it goes.
Yeah.
Kind of moves around the whole thing, and
And so then there's other ways that we can manipulate the rosin as well. And so a lot of people, you know, have started to make jams and whatnot. And so when I thought about jams, there's something that you're doing, which is adding heat to it. And when you add heat to it, it's always going to add a little harshness to the taste of it. And the reason being is that it's kind of activating a little bit of the THC, and if you smoke straight distillate or just THC, it's much harsher.
Yeah. Well, that's like the way you know that THC is not the only driving factor, because if it was, we'd all just be smoking
Marinol.
Yeah, it's just like,
So
Yep.
this one that we just hit was
Fucking amazing.
yeah, and
That one
was-
is the strawberry smash, and that's the fresh press.
that's super nice. It has like, how do you describe the flavor, Dave? What do you think? What are you picking up on?
I'm
I get kind of a vinyl-y smell off this one a little bit, which I like. You know, like pool liner
Right, like a little bit of a
Pool liner vinyl, like-
chemically. Yep,
Well, when you pull it out when you get it off the roll,
yep.
and that first hit, you know what I mean? You're like, oh yeah.
This tastes like guava. I mean, it kind that's just, I don't know if it has in it, but that's what
No,
I'm getting
this
out of
one
it.
is Bruce Banner to Straw Nano.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't saying guava the strain. I was
Like
saying
this-
like
the-
if I was
the
eating
Oh,
it,
like
yeah,
it
the
actually-
flavor. Yep.
What is this one that we have over here?
Has this got any GMO
I
in
think
it?
that
Gelato something?
the papaya gelato.
Papaya gelato. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm about to do it. I'm about to go in on it.
I think that's like really smooth, even though I coughed like a pansy really hard.
What?
It was a really smooth.
we don't use that term.
The papaya gelato almost has like a kind of a GMO-y kind of vibe to it in a weird way. Like it's like
It's got a funk onto
Yeah.
it. That papaya really puts a real funk to it, and it's kind of like sweet up front, but that finish that leaves on your palate is that funkiness to it, and that's that little bit of that papaya. That one we've been pheno hunting for the last I would say like 6 months, and so when we started our grow, we did everything by seed, and so that means that we were just out there selecting everything by the pheno and really trying to make sure we're choosing it for what we're trying to do, and it expresses what we're trying to put out. And that's just something that was really unique and different that we were able to do. We started from fresh, didn't walk into someone else's grow, all that kind of stuff. But I do want to get back to the jam and all that kind of stuff, because we did skip over that.
Oh,
But,
we're very good at that. Don't
skipping is our specialty.
yeah.
Keep us.
You have to be able to come back to topic
Yep.
because
Yeah, we won't.
It doesn't work like
So
Tangents.
there's kind of a difference between a lot of people are using the terms jam because of the texture and how it kind of feels. But there's also something else that's happening there too, is that when you're heating it up and you're creating it into the liquid that you're getting in to create the diamonds and stuff, it actually has kind of activated some of the THC. So you may be getting 2 or 3% activated THC that creates those big diamonds when you let it crash out. And so when we created the slush, I really wanted to preserve the terpenes, and so I figured out a way over time to crash it out, liquefy it, but not activate any of the THC. And so then and so what it does is it acts similar to like live resin, where it's more runny and you get more of that terp separation to it, but you're still getting those fine little THCA crystals built up. And so that's kind of why we decided to call it a slush. It's because that's more like the texture and the feel to it, instead of it being all sticky and like a jam.
Dude,
I'm giving James Chrysler like a.
dude, he numbered. This is nuts.
He nailed it. He nailed it. He goes, I like solventless diamonds because of the intense labor involved and the small yields. I was like, yes, that's exactly. He nailed it.
It takes
Look at
time.
this.
What?
It's fucking numbered.
Yeah, so I brought this for actually to show what we're kind of doing as something a little bit different. We're doing hash maker series where we have people that are badged up that are already working in the industry, but they are very good at their craft. And the craft of what we do is it's definitely a craft. You know, anybody can do it. It's a very simple thing, but we all have our little tips, tricks, all these little stylistic
It's like a
things
DJ.
that
It's
we
like
do.
a DJ situation where
Yeah.
we're all playing the same tracks, but we can do it differently. You know what I mean? It can come out totally different. You're like, oh wow, okay, so his is more down tempo than the other guy. But we're all playing the same shit, you know.
100%, and then we ought to learn and chit chat.
And I think this cool thing is if you have come in as guests, then they're not all burned out. You know what I mean? So they're actually doing the run and all excited. It's not like grinding, like, oh my God. Because you know how it is. If you get people to work on a Friday, it's probably different than their work on a Monday because they're probably either too hungover on Monday to do a good job or they're too ready to leave on Friday.
Exactly.
So you actually only want the hash made on Wednesday when they're, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
When they're focusing on what they're doing. It's like getting haircuts. You got to go in at the right time because if you go in the wrong time, guys
And
don't
you
give
think you funked it up.
well, they just don't care anymore. They're already on the weekend. Whatever.
Yep. Yeah, so it's a cool little series that we're trying to do, and we're trying to expand it and bring in some other hash people that are all badged up. And what we do is we do just like we are, normal runs and everything, using our in-house flour and everything. But I choose the flour with them, and then we end up washing it together. And everybody pulls a little bit differently.
What are you guys using? What are you guys using for your run? Are you do like do you have an osprey or something bigger like that, or are you just doing?
We do
old
everything
school?
by hand.
Okay.
So everything that we do is just
How's your
all
back?
by hand.
How's your back doing?
It's doing great. My back does fine. It's really, the shoulders and the longevity of standing on your legs. That's what gets you.
Cold is what gets me. Fucking, it's
I've
like,
kind of got used to the cold.
Yeah,
At this point, I'm sometimes just wearing a hoodie, and if I get too hot in the hoodie, I'm in a t-shirt. And
I
then
try
you
to
gotta walk
I try to
outside.
automate everything when
Yeah.
it comes to pulling to the point of having something else doing it because it's like, especially like a 25 bag on nothing fucking flows through it. It's a nightmare.
I don't even mess with the 25
No.
bag.
Oh
That
my
one is
gosh.
such a hard thing to do.
It is, and it's crazy
And
how much it changes from the
time.
45 to the 25. It's like night and day. Like the
Yep.
45, well, I just shake it a couple times, it's good.
Beautiful.
25, you're like nothing you can do to get it through the fucking thing.
Slapping it and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just washing it, and you put in so much effort to collect it. I think that the time that you put into it commercially, it's
Well, I
not
think it's also
necessarily
easier.
viable.
It's a lot easier too if you just have multiple vessels instead of trying to do it all in one.
Yep.
Because then you can just pour it from one to the next to the next to the next. It's free flows and it doesn't
Yep.
get. There's not this whole. Because what also happens too is, depending on the. Like they'll just start to sag, and then at a certain point they're all hit the bottom. Once they bottom out,
touching all together.
yeah, then they touch, and then you got
Yep.
sort of things not working together. So it is the, I mean, if you have the space. I had a guy back in Amsterdam that he did it with like he just took he had like stacked up milk cartons, and he had one really tall, next one was 3, next one was 2, next one was 1,
Yep.
and he just had a drain at the bottom of each of them, and it was just poured through the top, and it would just kind of cascade down to the bottom ones, and then he just pull each one individually, and it made sense, I'm just like. And that was just because he was old and his back hurt, so he didn't want to like touch
Exactly.
it.
He was like, I don't need to be picking these things up when I could create a waterfall system, and we call it kind of the leapfrogging system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way we do it because we do have the space. We're lucky enough that like we have a lab that can get down to sub 50 degrees and whatnot. And so like when the whole lab can sit that way,
That's crazy.
We're able to sit there and wash, and we have so much space.
That's
and
dope.
so we have a full wet zone and everything. And by having that, we can be able to separate and have each pull be poured itself.
Do you
and then
ever-
we can run 2 barrels at a time, and we can be running more material, and that's where it becomes like a balance. Do you yes, we could save labor and go get a machine and go
Right.
down that route, but we're also trying to create a high-end product where the machine does put out great product. I'm not going to knock it at all,
I
but
talked with Low
we're not there
Temp.
yet.
I talked with Low Temp the other day, and they're coming on the show. So.
Yeah, Levi's a really awesome guy, and he's super smart. And that machine he built,
It is good.
Awesome.
It is nice. It's like
really
it got me a
awesome.
little bit like I was all looking. I saw them all lined up the other day,
Yep.
and I was all, I'm getting them on the show. I'm getting them on the fucking show. Now that I see they
Yeah.
have that many, they could probably get rid of one, just one.
Right,
Let me,
just have it right here.
Just let me have one. But yeah, they're beautiful.
Did you design your own presses, or did you go with a commercial vendor?
So actually, when we started in March 2020, and when we were looking out for the material or all the stuff and equipment that we were gonna buy, we reached out to Sasquatch, and it was before they released their 10-ton press. And they were like, we want to get it out into some commercial places. So we were one of the first 10 people to get their 10-ton press, which is like a 4x8 10-ton press that we hand do. We could have went with something pneumatic, but I really like the feel of having, being on the handles and feeling the bags when you're pressing it.
Well,
I
you
think it
definitely
makes a
catch blowouts and
difference.
things like that early too, because you can almost feel it coming. Whereas if you
Yep.
do it on once you got it pneumatic, you're like, yeah. I never liked it when they had a pump either, because it's loud, and it's fucking annoying, and
Creates
there's
heat.
no sensitivity whatsoever. Like it's like dung 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 dung. You know what I mean? Like it's not good.
Yeah, and another thing too is no matter if you grow the same strain 100 million times, each time you harvest it, they all press out differently. It may not be very much, but sometimes it just is so melty that if you had it set on some recipe and you hit the pneumatic press and then you went and did some other work and whatnot, you could all of a sudden have just overpressed it, and then you're going to have a much harsher rosin because it was so melty that it just pressed really quickly. And so it's, I think nice having that hand feel, because each press and each grade that you press all feels differently.
That attention to detail as well.
Yeah, and so when we separate too, we pull from, so like everything that makes our rosin, we use the first and the second pull, and we do that just because if you think of like very like fresh nugs, like how shiny they are on the outside and all those beautiful big trichome heads, those are the ones that are going to be the most melty, the most ripe, and so we want to collect those ones first and then use those ones for our highest end products. And so that would be us using our stuff for, necessarily like, our normal rosin, but also our premium rosin, which is the 90 to the 120. And so when we're separating those things, we're washing super gently on the first two washes, and then we're separating those pulls because we know we're going to make them into finer products. And then when we drop that 70 bag, we're then using a full spectrum after like the fourth and fifth wash, which is going to make everything else, and that's going to be our food grade. But where we're washing those first 1 through 4, that's going to make our cartridges, it's going to make our premium rosin and our regular rosin. And then we also have this product called Tier 2, which is our 40U bag. So it's the 40 to the 69U bag. So that's just going to be those lower end trichome heads. And so that's what we're going to be using just to give someone an entry rosin, because rosin is expensive. It's not necessarily lesser of a product, but it's just not going to be as flavorful. It's just slightly less flavor. Like sometimes it's not even less flavorful, but it's just those smaller trichome heads. They're not as ripe.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's a really, I think it's really nice to see that, like, all of the attention to detail that you guys are putting into the company is, TJ and I worked together back at Harmony years ago, and Harmony Extracts came out with, this concept to have a really high quality product. And I think there's a lot of brands that claim this, but that separation, I think, and like identifying the batches, and it just really shows that if you're being like that with just this presentation of it, like I can't imagine how much detail's going behind the crop itself and processing of it.
Yeah, that's one thing we really pride ourselves on, is that we're making sure that when we are at our garden, we know that we're going to be harvesting it for hash, which is going to be different than if we were going to go to flour, because there's different kinds of flushings that you would do. There's different times of, dropping temperatures and all these kind of different things that you're doing. And so when you're going for hash and we know that we're doing it, we're going to be harvesting it a little bit differently, treating it a little bit differently. We're freezing it immediately. We're not as rough with it. Like a lot of people, they like to just buck their fresh frozen. We're sitting there with scissors, trimming it all down. It may be a little bit more labor intensive, but that's what makes rosin a little bit more expensive. That's what makes it harder to do, where you can commercialize it and you can make it affordable, but it's not going to be the same quality that you're expecting when you go and grab Mountain Select, 710, or Laser Cat. You're going to be experiencing something where they've put the time in to make sure when they harvest it, it's good, and they're washing it appropriately. And then when they are making any kind of mistakes, they're not making those things and letting them go to the public because they just want to sell it. Sure. We're going to make sure that we're using that product appropriately and doing something else with it. That's the whole, holding your integrity, making sure
It's like
Good for us.
It's like a macro version of your typical rosin mentality of you got to waste it if you want to taste it, right? So you got to take just the best of the best and fucking not worry about the rest, and then you can experience that level,
Yeah.
And it is rough, because that's one of the things about making hash in general is traditional hash has always been a problem of, like, if you clean it up, you got 80% just what do you do with it? You know what I mean? And you
It's
can't
just
make
like,
enough edibles
oh,
out
shit.
of it. There's not enough edibles in the world, or so it's very hard to get those premium, traditional, old school dry sift hash, which I hope becomes more prevalent because we have enough weed now that we can do that.
And
But-
we've had the technology come around too. A lot of these people I saw just recently out of the Ego Clash, they had Hashtag there, I think. And Hashtag had like a sifter, and what they were showing is that you could commercially look at getting this into a system where maybe you could be doing dry sift and letting people experience that kind of stuff. You know, because it is something that not very many people get to see.
Yeah.
It's very traditional, and it's really hard to do. And
Well, then when are you coming out with it?
I mean, for us, it would be extremely hard. And if like maybe
there's an Ego Clash going on like next week in New York, I think. Actually,
Nice.
Upstate.
Yep. I would love to be, hanging out and getting invited to one of those, and I'm sure it'll come. But right now, we're one of the newer companies, and that's why we're trying to show our face and show people that it's about the quality, and being unique can set you different as than someone else. You know.
I think everybody that sees this on the shelves, at least in Colorado right now, I think that everybody should give it a go. I see you guys in a lot of locations. It's awesome to see that you guys are not only producing this great product, but you're hustling to get it out. And I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think we're at about 80 storefronts if we were like counting each store, even including chains and whatnot.
Wow.
And we're really pushing hard to, make sure we're standing out and also landing in the right tier of product that we're trying to put out and really holding to it. We really want to make sure people are experiencing almost that like farm to table stuff. That's why we're sealing the jars. That's why, when we first did our drops, we dropped with terp pearls from Eugene, Joe P, Combo as kind of like a golden ticket. And that was to excite people to be like, look, there is really good quality rosin out there.
Yeah.
Just go take a look, because there are diehard fans. And with people being around for 10 years, 5 years, or having the collective that they do, it's hard to get them to be like, is there other good rosin out there? Because in the market, let's be real, like it's a hit and miss. And it's because each garden has problems or has a really good run and then has a bad run. And they're like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And then they burnt that trust. And then when the trust is burnt, it makes them distrust all the other companies. And so then when they see companies that stay true, can put out quality, continue to put out quality, they don't jump off of them. So
Or
that's why they stay.
Like you said, taking accountability when it happens. I remember 710, which we all really respect and like here, is like they had a problem with powder mildew a couple years ago on an Instagram post, which, like we all have combated or like go through or whatever, especially on a commercial scale. And
Never.
and some mishap happened with like, just getting posted on Instagram. And the owners went on and like were like, yeah, we like apologize, like this should have never been released, we destroyed the product, and like showed them destroying it. And like, but I thought it was really, just like you said, is everybody's gonna have like really good harvests and really good batches, but I think it's like your ultimate decision of, am I gonna get this remitigated and not
Remediated?
Remediated?
Sorry.
Nice.
Sorry.
You got that right. You got that. Remediated.
J-Lo made up a word.
She made up her own word. It's a J-Lo word.
Well, and like
Anyway.
yeah, sorry guys. Is like if you're gonna destroy the product or not, is really,
Right.
or if you're gonna release it, like you said, if it's just to pay your bills. Sometimes we've all been in desperate like.
It is crazy to
But
me.
then call it, I'm just paying my bills, Rosin. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just put it in the right
100%.
category. Let them know, but don't sell it as the brand they expect.
It's kind of
Yeah,
crazy. It's kind of
absolutely.
crazy to me though that now it's like
Or send it to distillate.
it's becoming so normal. It's becoming so normal to remediate stuff where I'm just like, dude, that should be like in the most extreme situations ever. I don't even think it should ever happen personally, but it's like they're just like, oh, it's gonna be. And I have a feeling it's because that's why you're going into your parts per billions, because they want to fucking put us in a position where they have to do it, because then it becomes another service that then somebody's making money on, and they can also then
But the
slow your roll even further down, because that's what they, in a way, that's to them to their advantage as far as like the MED, because if it's going through that, it means it now gets like we can track it from here and track it from there. Now it gets tracked even further, which is, oh, this is great. Whereas if it's grown and sold, there is that obvious, like, you know, I sold 20 pounds. Well, do we know it was 20 pounds or was it 22 pounds? Who knows? But, you know, whereas once it goes to this, has to be checked and then run through some bullshit. And that thing that pisses me off is like same thing they do in Holland. In Holland, all the weed is radiated that is medical because they want to mitigate any molds or problems, right? Or it totally makes sense from a like extreme medical point of view, because there have been situations where people have been, things have kicked off because of mold and thing, but for sure. But if it becomes a standard for like really, once you have healthy, beautiful cannabis and you're going to do it just because, that's fucking bullshit. And that's what I can almost guarantee you that's what they're going to try to do, because it just
like they're pushing
creates
for it.
We talked about
they're going to
this.
do parts per quadrillion soon. That's going to be the new thing.
Is that a number, Vinny?
Quadrillion's
really
a number.
Yeah,
talked about with parts per billion,
Full-on
though,
number.
and parts per
Beyond
million.
trillion, though.
Full number.
Is like back in the day when they used to do parts per million, that's like a really appropriate test. Like that's still making, like ensuring that this product is quality, safe, consumable product, definitely. But they think as the tests get more rigorous with like parts per billion, that's insane, because you're obviously going to surface anything that tests in this entire world is going to
It's
surface.
like a PCR.
at
It's the
that.
same as a PCR test, where if you want to find it, you will find it.
Yes.
You just have to, how many cycles are you going to run it? You're going to run it 45 cycles, or you're going to run it 80 cycles? And now you see, oh, dude, we found
There's
this.
a little bit there.
Yeah,
And
and
they're-
it's everywhere.
And they're only testing for the things that like are very clear to all of us. These 6 categories or 7 categories, like that's the only things that they're testing for. So you can use a compliant pesticide legally and go spray your plants the day before or the day of harvest, and they're
then
not
it
going to
goes out
find
to the
that.
public.
Yeah, they're not going to find that, and they're not testing for that.
Some of the bad stuff too is that it's becoming an SOP now for some of the largest distributors in the market today. It's becoming a part of their SOP that no matter what, no matter if they had a flawless grow or garbage grow,
Right.
it's going through the rad machine. And so if that's going to become a standard,
Rad, bro. It's so rad.
it's like
Rad weed. It's rad weed. now.
exactly. It should say rad. It should be like, oh, it has a stamp, rad.
It's so shitty though. It's like it's literally nothing good about it.
It isn't, and it's bad that the biggest people are pushing for it, because when they fuck up really big, they have to go to the MED, and then when they're working out deals because they're like, oh, we're gonna lose so much money, this is how we can save it, and then they introduce this SOP that saves it, and then they're gonna send us out a little bulletin and being like, hey, everybody in 2025 needs to introduce a rad system into your SOP for harvesting for dry fly.
I have heard of other systems though that are coming up, like CO2 based and things that are making more sense. Where you're like, oh, okay, well that kind of makes me a little.
Right.
At least I know there's some other ideas of how we can make this work.
Yep.
Because
Well, like
go
there's a
straight
lot
to
of-
the radiation on everything.
No, what we should be doing is going to the fragrance industry and figuring out what they have done over the years without
They
going
use
that
heavy
far.
chemicals.
I was gonna say you don't want to talk to them.
Hey.
You're gonna be like, yes.
All right,
don't-
forget that.
Yeah.
Forget. When we were walking around, myself,
Oh, Dave, they got timers on you. You know that.
I saw.
They were like,
It's
click.
Dave Leal. Who gives a fuck? So I was walking around with Brent from Apothecary Extracts and Odie, and we came to a concentrate booth, and they were telling us that they voluntarily put their good weed through CRC.
Oh, volunteer.
They just
But I mean,
that they
I
and
think
we were
that's-
like, no
that's-
way.
I
Odie
think
was like,
that's-
no way.
I think that's kind of like when you're talking to, like Sano Gardens, they're not trying to fix the weed as if it was bad. They're just trying to look at it as a chemical, and they're breaking it down to its basest forms and stripping out everything else. And so that's where I think they're trying to introduce
Which is
something
never a good idea.
scientific, you know?
I always laugh when people
sorry.
try to rebuild things. You're like, do you understand that all the things that were in between those, like you got these, but you didn't get everything. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all the other things were the nuances that you'll never know how they fucking work, right? And so it's like that might just turn this on or turn this off, and you took it out, so now therefore you don't know. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Is it there?
you're gonna get into a zone, but you're never gonna nail it. Like,
Yep.
especially when it's like, I'm gonna recreate sour diesel. You're like, good luck, dude. You know
It's
what I mean?
happening all the time. People are like, I have sour diesel.
Yeah, but
and
that's-
then you're
and-
like,
No.
I
You know, sour diesel back in the day, like in 2009, 2010, really just around that time frame was really popular here. But like when I was actually growing it, it was like funny is just like you said earlier, everybody has these like tricks and signatures to like whatever in their garden. But like a lot of people couldn't grow it really well. So like when you got it from a really like heady person or somebody in Boulder or whatever, like headquarters, we had, I don't know, everybody like came there for sour diesel and these like particular strains because it was like you had to dry them down. They were so finicky. They never yielded shit. Like
There's a total tangent here, but don't you think TJ could be Derek Trucks' stunt double? Come on.
that's what you've been thinking
that's
about.
that's why he took so
Oh my
long to
God.
roll that, is because
Yeah.
that's what he's been looking up.
No, no. I rolled the joint, then I
I'm feeling fucking
That
zooted.
tastes so good. What is that, Adam? Do you know that one?
You know, in a couple
from
of
the
years, I
bottom.
might look like that.
All right.
See the bud.
There you go.
Dave.
What I do?
But me and Jay had this conversation just yesterday about how people are like, I have wedding cake number 7. And I'm like, you do not have wedding cake number 7. You have someone who has back crossed this or feminized it, colloidal silvered it, and put the
HP13.
seed pack out. And then you pop some seeds and you're like, oh,
That's what I
I've got
gave you.
wedding cake.
You should have known.
And
She
then,
hasn't smoked it yet.
No, she forgot.
and then people are like, oh, I've got wedding cake number 7. And I'm like, wedding cake is
It's
just
a
a
wed-
pheno.
yeah.
It's a pheno out of a bunch. And I was like, and there's some other ones that people have chosen out of there and named it something else. And it's kind of like runts and these other things. They were popped from 1,000 beans, and then someone chose it, and then someone else chose another one, and they're all named something different. And people were like, oh, I've got
You
this
totally
one.
blew their mind, man.
I've got this one number 14, and you're like,
Well, I mean, like with certain ones, like certain ones did sort of like get popular and get passed around. So you kind of maybe have a small area where you are on the same page. But the problem is that, yeah, I got recently cuts from somebody, and it was like Tropicana number this and Tropicana number that, and I'm just like,
what does that mean?
and one of them was like, okay, that's close enough that I would.
Is it the BX?
It wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't. And then the other, they were not. They were just. That's all they were labeled as 3. I think 3, 5, and something else. But totally different. Like one of them, I was like, dude, that smells like fucking GM. Like, what is going on here? This is something. Or, I don't know. So, yeah.
Do you guys remember when dispensaries, like, I mean, back 2014, 2015, started like changing shit though, like how it move on a shelf? Like, I don't know. Like I remember working somewhere.
Sure,
I
it
won't
happened
say
from day
the-
one. Anything that like that's the thing is like once you have because cannabis is always one of those things where it like I don't know how many times I've seen people where especially in Amsterdam. Amsterdam's classic where they'll have a huge menu and there'll be like 2 kinds of weed, right? It just like nothing's got a label on it, right? So it's just bags of weed, and they just look at the customer. And they're like, this guy, he don't know shit. Okay, you get that one. Oh, this guy might know. He gets the good. So basically, it's like good and not so good. That's basically how they had it.
Is
And,
this Snickle Fritz?
Snickle Fritz.
and so they didn't have like, and they just, it was so bad. I was just like, God, you guys are evil. But it was just like, yeah, because they just want to make everybody happy, right? So they're like, oh, that's what you want? We got that. Never run out of weed. Never. Because they just had one thing, and it was just like,
Which one you want? The good, the bad?
pretty
Well,
much.
in 2010, you know, the few dispensaries that were around, and you showed up, and everyone, there wasn't, you had a license, maybe,
Maybe.
you know, you showed up, you open your trunk, and they'd be like, what do you got? I got blueberry.
That is what it was
No,
like.
we don't need that. We have blueberry on the shelf right now. You go, hold on, let me go back out and see
You
what
got
I
that
got. What else I
purple?
got?
You got Pineapple Express.
You peel the label off, and now we got Pineapple Express. You know, I mean, that's it. It just they didn't care. Nobody. They sold it still. It all went. You came back 2 days.
See,
They needed more.
I feel like it's funny, like hearing all the hypey strains now, because I remember when like Girl Scout cookies and Snoop Dogg and like all these like different strains came out around the same time, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, there's more than 3 strains, even in Colorado."
I guess maybe it's because being a deadhead and when you were on tour, you had the, is it kind bud or not, first off? Because if they were like, they swag, they'd show up commercial, is what they really called it. You didn't even want to see it.
What's the point of that?
But then you didn't have names to it, but you needed to have a nose for what you liked.
Is this funk or is this?
Yeah, or is that crystal or is that mildew?
See,
it's.
I think a real connoisseur though, like even like on the processing side or growing side, is like consuming all of it. Is like nobody can lie to you. Like the plant is so honest with you, and once you like have been around this stuff so much and you know it so well, it's just, I don't know. I think it's like a cool thing that strains can be so distinctive and like even clones.
Well, making hash is when it really like literally comes out in the wash, right? You're like fucking like you can have
You
stuff.
know what happened in the garden in the wash immediately.
Yeah.
And
The
I've
story
had to
has
call
been
people
told.
before and be like, "Yo, you spot sprayed," and they're like, "No, I swear I didn't." And I'm like, "I will prove to you right now." You got FaceTime?
Yeah.
And then FaceTime, and he's like, "Oh, there was a little corner there," and I'm like, "Yeah, you did. You spot sprayed."
That's what a spot means. You didn't fucking send
and
the
you
planes
used an
over.
oily substance. And
Sure.
I'm like, you fucked up.
Yeah, and but also it's also interesting too because like things you learn there are, especially if you've got a garden connected to it, where there's feedback that you can get, which is like you can figure out plants that you thought were you're just about to axe it because you're like, dude, this thing's like lame, nobody likes it, whatever. All of a sudden you make hash and it's fucking like, bro, oh my God, this is the one. And it's like
Trumpets.
and then you'll end up keeping strains that you would have never kept for flower because you're just like, and also with flavors too, because a lot of times the all water soluble shit is gone.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So you're just down to
Just holding on to that last little thing, really. Like, I want it, but
yeah, and you can also, I mean, I'm amazed sometimes with the, like, between the screens, the difference. Like, you're like, man, it really just trapped the best of the best, and somehow the one right next to it is, and I wouldn't say garbage, but it's huge difference. Huge difference because, and that's why when, like a lot of people, I'll try to. I think I pretty much run all the screens. Even the 25, even though I'm just like kind of like I don't want to know everything. I'll even double. Like with mine, will take it from the thing down into the first bag, and then I'll drain it into a secondary bag just to see.
To let it sit. And
just
go.
to see what happens. And
Yep.
sometimes I'm like, damn, there's like 10
There is a
grams,
lot.
10 grams that would have just gone down the drain. You know what I mean? Because you see it, you'll be like, there's shit in there. I can see it.
Yep.
It's like it's in there. And then you realize like it's kind of like when you're doing runs too. If you're on the 6th run, you're pissed because you're like, fuck, it's still
Why?
dumping. Why does it
Why?
like? Can't it just stop? Like
It's those dense nuggets
and
where you
then-
get mad
and
because
then-
you're just like, stop washing, stop,
and
please.
then you're just like, because it's not
Your
that
arms.
good, but it's still there, and you got to kind of pull it out because it's kind of like you can't
can
leave it
use
behind. You
And
can use it
there's
for
people
something.
that will use it. It's like whether you made like edibles out of it or whatever, tinctures. It's
Yeah.
just like people use distillate. Distillate has its place and will always has its place. Is it the best product? No, it's a byproduct. But that's kind of what we have. We have a byproduct. So let's use it.
Yeah, well, it's also like it's really hard to throw away anything with cannabis, whether it's a piece of like if you break a branch, it's like, well, now I guess I got more clones because you can't just throw. I mean, especially if it's a healthy. I mean, if it's a shitty branch, of course, it's
Yeah.
on point. But if it's like a super healthy branch and you just fucked
moved
up and you're
it.
like, oh no, and you look at it and there's like 6 good clones on it, you're like, I guess I'm making 6 clones because then at least in your mind you created more out of the mistake. You know,
You
what I mean?
didn't let it go to waste.
Yeah, which is hard because, and then with hash, it's the worst because even if it's not if it's just food grade, you still got to find somewhere for it. Like I'll even put the 190 aside just to see, because sometimes I get shit where it's just like I know that if I take that and soak it, I could get something. Like even if I never do it, it's like there's somebody who wants it for medicine or something.
I've put in the 180 as like the scrubber, and then I went to the 150, and I had this huge pull in there, and it was so clean, and I was like, this is gonna make amazing rosin, and it wasn't even like planty, nothing.
That's it.
And it was just because it had such big heads.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Just some plants do that.
Yeah, because I've seen stuff where I've been surprised where there's not much in the 90 or the 73 on the thing, and then all of a sudden you're looking at the hires and you're like, what's going on here? But I mean, it's actually a goal in the long run to get all those big ones and try to get it up in that top, because then you know those things that you just are growing giant fucking glands at that point. So
and that means you're yielding in the extract, which is important when you're like not doing it for flower, because some people are like, oh, you're gonna accept something that does 1.5 a light, and I'm like, well, the flavor and what I yield off of it makes sense.
Yeah.
When I'm evaluating the whole room versus like, oh, each light has to produce,
well, flower
20
weight
pounds,
to oil weight is totally different, or to resin
Yeah.
weight is totally different. So like you can get stuff where it's like beautiful and just fucking all over and then you actually pull the bags and you're like, not really much here, you know what I mean? It's weird. And then you get other ones that are like, but then it's just in there and it's heavy and it's fucking sandy and gritty, you know what I mean? It's like
I say most hash plants look freakish.
Yeah.
They're like not the ones you want to be like, oh, these are my choice nugs.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, who trimmed this? Was this outdoor? But it's just because it grows with more surface space available, and it just has that trichome head where it's just big.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the thing is, if you have a lot of sativas that are like, or, so-called sativas, or just like those long, when you have a really long stalk and a small head, it's just a big nut. Just they look good visually from the outside. Whoa, wow, look at that. But as a hash side, it's just like, it's totally blows. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So you're like, there ain't much in there.
Well, it sucks too. Some of the best terps, you put them into water and they're hydrophilic, and so the next thing you know, they're just all up in the water, and all you can see is everything on top. And so it's like you're looking at it and it looks like a oil puddle, and then you're like, there goes my whole yield. I can't, everything is there. And like that Nana's lemonade, for 90% of it, that's how it was, because it was so lemon G forward. And so lemon G just doesn't wash, because it's one of those things where if it's in water, it just washes away. And so,
but it's terpy as fuck.
Exactly, it's really terpy.
Yeah.
And so we were able to find one that had more of that straw nana structure. So it was super openy, but it grew like the lemon G, had the lemon terp. And then when we went to extract it, it was drier and was able to actually yield enough to make like rosin out of.
Interesting.
And every I mean, that's the thing too, is like, if you take 10 varieties and make hash from it, within the bags there's different colors and textures going on, and then within the strains there's even more, and it's like all of a sudden you got this like fucking plethora of like just different textures and stuff, and then like maybe 25% of them are like real hash plants. The rest are all just like flower, like, and you go like, this is not even worth, that's why it's good to do those little test runs.
It is.
Because you really do learn quickly, like, oh, this one is separating really easy and sandy, and you can see every individual one, and then you get other ones where it's like, kind of change the color of the water and looking a little weird, so
yeah, even scoping out what's it called, for like under the microscope when it's growing, you can really start to understand which ones are going to be good for hash and which ones are going to be good for like flower, just because you can start to see how they develop. And once you can start to see that, and not only by feeling it, because something like wedding cake too is like so wet and greasy, but if you look at under a microscope, it looks perfect for extraction, and so it does wash really well.
Well, like there's sometimes it's like sours, for instance, like pure sour makes the greasiest resin.
It's like cottage cheese.
It's like so fucking much texture going on. Yeah, but it's so crazy too, and you're just like, damn, like it is heavy as a motherfucker. Like the weight you can really feel like there's a lot going on in that. But sometimes it's too, like it actually would like clog my screens up because they would just get stuck in there, and then you couldn't really. So then you'd end up getting the slowest runs ever because it was all just stuck into the screens. And yeah, there's some strains that are a pain in the ass like that.
Yep. There are some where.
And what are you doing for screens? Like which company are you working with?
So we do Micron extracts. They've been really good, and we also have some ice extractor ones as well. We have some Rosin Evolution for our work bags and stuff because they're high quality, but they're affordable, so we can change them out super quickly. And so changing them out once a month doesn't make them too bad, on expense and whatnot. But if I had to change out a Micron extract every single month, that would get very expensive.
Fuck. Forgot again.
What?
Forgot again. Fucking fuck.
What'd you forget now?
Everybody, do that thing for us right now.
Oh my God! So forget about it.
No, you have to. Fuck you. It's good for the fucking show, man.
Hey, fuck
It's
you.
over. We're already past 10 minutes.
No, it doesn't matter.
We're not the millennials you think we are.
It's how fast they come in because we could be saying something.
Maybe
right now.
you could say something cool, and then everyone would hit
say
like
something.
right now.
I am. Yes, please.
Smash that button.
I would never say
I
that.
didn't even
Say
hit
it.
like it.
Say it.
Say it.
Smash
Say
it.
it.
The like button.
Say it.
Say it.
Say what?
Say it, podcaster.
Say it. Do it. Now you're
Say smash the like button.
That's the line.
Dave, you are a fucking millennial little podcaster.
I'm feeling on the next
Just please do it. Do it for Vinny's Boo Chocolates because they're really
They're
good.
Buchakis.
Buchakis.
Get it right.
Chucky.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is
bean to Buchaki.
amazing.
This one I like a lot.
product.
This one I like a lot.
Absolutely
From
amazing.
bean to
That
Buchaki.
was
Glad
fire.
you guys really
Come on.
enjoyed that stuff. And thank you guys for all having me on the show.
No, you're not
over.
going
Not
anywhere.
No, I know.
Relax.
Thank you.
Relax.
I'm
Don't
just
sweat
saying
it.
thank you for having me on the show.
We're gonna have
Okay.
to fill.
You don't know
since
yet.
Chris
Wait.
Kelly-
Oh no, we're
Wait,
we're
one
swinging
thing-
it around now. Now it's we heard that you used. No, I'm just kidding.
Also, TJ's really passionate about genetics as well. Like
Good.
you
Well,
can.
Yeah, for real. Does anyone still mess with flower rosin at all?
No.
Yeah, like that's like a thing of the past, right?
That's only
Like,
at home if you're.
That's
doing
like if you're at home and you want to just
Or
have
you
some
just
extracts
start.
for yourself.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Like with the hair
like or
straightners?
whatever.
You want that?
Like,
You want
It's
that
definitely
real?
not a
I mean, I
commercial
did
thing.
that for a while, dude, and I learned it from Brent from Apothecary. He put up a video of him showing
Little
people
clamp.
how with the little clamp and the
Yep.
fucking hair straightener and shit, and that's how I made rosin for a long time.
I'm
dude.
pretty sure it comes down to surface area and yield, and you get far more when you sift it out, right? So than you do if you
Oh yeah.
just do
Well,
it from flour.
And also a big thing that's really changed the whole game for everybody was the dry freezer. If you don't have the dry freezer and you're air drying, if you're not really good at air drying, you're gonna fuck up a lot of material. Like, you're gonna mess it up and you're gonna be really mad, and you're not gonna be able to like necessarily save your rosin. It's all gonna go to like edibles. And
That's just temp, really, most importantly, in airflow.
well, and knowing when to change things, look at stuff. A lot of people and let mold happen. Like red mold is a thing that happens a lot from air drying, and then they put it in the rosin because they just want to press it in the rosin. And so I think air drying is definitely a craft. And with the freeze dryer, I think it's really made it something that's now achievable for a lot more strains. And made it much easier for us to press and make products into.
So on air drying, I mean, I think one of the benefits of get it down though, if you can, is we're back to that whole stability situation. Because if you did it that way at that right pace and you got it to the right level, where now it's holding out. Whereas what I've noticed with freeze drying is like. You get kind of stuck into. Sometimes you get stuck into that situation of like, which I hated back in the day, which was like, dude, do you want to smoke this hash? Yeah, let me go to the freezer, get it out. You got 30 seconds to get it out. Now it's getting all crazy, and you put it back in. It's like, come on, they can't do that. That's impossible. So with hash, I always felt the stability was important, and then if you could achieve a good air dry, and then press it properly. That's the other thing too, is that nobody here is really doing any like plates of hash ever, which is surprising because we have enough product to do that. Is now that's another learning curve everyone has to go through because there's a science to everything.
Yep.
You don't want to overpress it and make it too hard, but you also got to, you don't want to heat it up too much either because you fuck it up that way. And everybody's like, we've gone past all that, went straight to like way more high tech, but not necessarily.
It's kind of like the live diamonds thing.
Yeah, but
it just like exploded out of nowhere. It's just like the rosin thing.
Yeah.
Exploded out of nowhere instead of like the old traditional stuff like you're talking about.
Well, it's funny because every time you see somebody post something from those things, you'll see everybody's like, dude, I would squish that. Squish it. Dude, that should be rosin. I think you should have bubble bags. I'm like, dude, these guys have been making hash for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
Yep.
Yes, you might look cleaner and you might create a product which is way like more like scientifically like purer or whatever,
yeah.
but there's a lot to be said for the actual plant material, the terroir, and all the things that go into it, and it's totally different. Like it's weird because like I've smoked, like we had people on here who made their traditional style hash, but it's not the same. And the weed that was being grown on location in those other places was way lower, like about 4.6 or 6%.
Yep.
Super low on the THC. Probably had some other cannabinoids. But it's a lot that kind of the proof of you can't replicate the terroir, and that really created something. And it's like you get more of a floaty kind of high from it.
Yep.
It's not necessarily like, oh my God, I'm so high, I can't remember where my keys. That's more flower in my opinion. Like lose your keys and fucking lock yourself. Did I just? That's all being just like flowery high. And then with hash, it's like if you want to achieve once you get really the proper high, like I remember even in Amsterdam, like smoke the right Moroccan, start walking down the street and just start getting this like, I'm really fucking ooh.
Right.
It's
Well,
like
I was just gonna say,
it's
when
like a floaty weird high.
When we go to Amsterdam, we
Yeah.
smoke hash.
Yeah.
Maybe some haze from Katsu.
Of course.
But it's hash. So
Yeah.
we can't get it here. Just
Yep.
can't.
It's definitely something different, and nobody's really doing it. And I think it's
We had the
because
hashery on
it's
here, right,
forgotten
or whatever
about.
they were trying.
In Durango, the
Greenery.
hash factory.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
tried.
they were
They're
good.
trying, but it's funny because they're trying, but yet they're calling things like all the wrong stuff because you're like, dude, that's not how they do it. So if you're gonna call it that, you might want to do it the way they're doing it. Like
Yep.
they don't do it that way. Like,
Do it
that-
traditionally if
you know.
that's what you want to call it.
Right.
I reached out, tried to, but they got there. It's Durango,
Yeah, no, they're definitely. I mean,
It's mountain time.
and it's not a bad idea though because if you stick to your guns, all those things will come in back around because it's like we've pushed it, or you guys have pushed it, or plenty of guys out there are pushing the boundaries of a lot of extracts. But like I was saying earlier, it'd be nice if the grounded sort of old school technique. And around here, we actually have the advantage of being, 6,000 to 8,000 feet or higher even, which is kind of what the best you're going to do to be like a Nepalese style or somewhere like
Yep.
that. So if we were to kind of, grow some charas,
Yep.
hand rub some stuff,
Do some stuff.
get a
people
little
haven't
DNA in
seen.
there,
Stuff they haven't seen that comes from old time tech.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. Have you seen that one where the guys are doing static tech, which is like it's awesome to see because they're just doing it without like.
Blue Ice, I think at Jungle Boy he does like an awesome static tech.
Well, I'm talking traditional guys doing it though, which is awesome because they do it like they have, and they just lay out like a piece of material which keeps all the resin on top. And lets a little bit of the dust through, just like a
Just
220,
come through, yeah.
like us putting a 200,
like a big old like silk screen kind of.
Yeah, but they just do it on like just a stretched piece of cloth. So it's like taking a piece like this that lets just enough dust through, and they just use two pieces of metal, and they just kind of
That's awesome.
and scrape it off. But the thing is, it's funny is it's like, I do it with a paint roller, or there's tons of ways you can do it, but every time it's labor intensive because you just like, you get your little tiny bit off each time. And these guys had 5-gallon buckets full where you're like, respect, dude, that's some serious work. But then you look at the pile's as big as this room that they have to work with. So,
8 hours a day.
Just nonstop. Yeah. And they mounted them on their arms. The guy had them mounted so it looked like two tools. And I was just like,
so he was just.
yeah. And really, static is the key to a lot of stuff. It's like how Dave Watson. So when I was living in Amsterdam, he would always have his pure glands, his pure heads that he would carry around, and he'd have just one little film case, and he would, he'd pack a bowl, and he'd and it would full melt, put down. He'd always use a new screen every time, matches instead of a lighter, and he would just give that to you. Take a couple hits off that, you fucking choke you out. And you'd be like, what? This totally fucking full melt, disappear off the screens pretty much. But then he'd take out the screen, toss it, throw a new one in. But same deal. They had greenhouses full of weed to work with, and he was still, the returns were so low, and he never would tell anybody how to do it. And I was always trying to like probe him, and I was like, and I remember I knew it was static. I just didn't know how he did it. And I had another guy who used to work with him years ago, and what he would do, which is interesting, and I mean, it's like you basically activate the area under the screen with like a balloon. You take a balloon, and you basically rub the balloon on the table, and they put the screen back down, and then what happens is it looks like it basically just goes into little zones, right? So the zones where the shit goes into little circles, and the good stuff just sits there because it's not because it doesn't move. But the other stuff gets all staticky and like, whoa, shit, and then it clings together.
That's pretty sweet, though.
And so, it's like the old school technique of how to do it on the dry sieve in small, and then kind of take it up and then reactivate it.
Yep.
I do the other way. I just process it all as much as I'm usually, for me, I'm making seeds. So for when you're making seeds, you're always doing dry sieve just because you got to get it down to, you got to get it down to nothing.
Yep.
And the hash always sucks because you've broken it down to nothing, so there's all this fucking other crap in there. But if you clean it out with static, you'll get, your yields are ridiculously low. So it's pretty much like, well, there's enough for me to smoke. Fuck everybody else. And now you got this really lame hash that's got like nothing in it because he took all the goods out of it.
Right.
And that was what was funny with Watson is there was, he gave me like bags of hash at one point, like bags, and it was basically all his shit that he had taken all the goods out, right? So, but it still looked like hash, and it still kind of pressed like hash. So I was like, my brain was on swimming. Oh, dude, I could. And then he gave me a barrel of CBD. I mean a full pickle barrel of just CBD buds, and I used to use them as like stunt buds. They were like my stunt buds. I was like, oh, we need stunt buds. Get the stunt buds out. We'd pull them all out, take a photo or whatever. I was like. But it's
Mark's coming over.
Oh yeah, stunt buds. Mark's coming. No, but it was pretty funny because it was like 96 or something like that, and it was like the idea of CBD and all that was just still kind of like nominal. Most people didn't know it, and I remember so Watson and Dave, they gave me a piece of hash and they're like, here, check it out, and I'm like, oh, it smells pretty good, whatever, and they're like, absolutely no THC in it. I was like, what? No way, you know what I mean? And it was just like. They basically kind of already were cracking the code, and he had little vials of ice. He had little isolate bits of like CBD, THC, all of that. And this is like 95, 96. And I remember him telling me like, if you smoke this on its own, nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
But if you smoke this and this, then it happens. It was like, so it was all the same, things we all take for granted now. We all kind of know common, but it was
95, that's way
super
early
secret squirrel shit back in the day. I remember being like, oh, wow, how did you make what? It didn't even make sense to me. I was like, how did you get it to crystals?
Weed is weed, right?
Because they had a guy who was a scientist, like their scientist that was in their crew. Pate, I think his name is Dave Pate or whatever. No, something. Yeah, anyway, he was like the shit. Like the guy was he's a chemist. Chemist, long ponytail, that kind of chemist.
Brooks Kelly?
I can see it.
No, it's not. But this guy was super on point, and so like they were like miles ahead of what things we do now, but back in the day were unheard of because he had the DEA license.
That's pioneer shit.
And that's why everybody thought he was a narc because everybody was like, he's a narc. He's got because he had a DEA license to work with cannabis and transport cannabis. And so it was like, imagine how special that, even now it's like there's hardly any, but there's like a couple of labs that are getting those permissions, but very few.
It's crazy to see what other people are doing, or like, I guess other nations are doing, like Canada, Macedonia, these other places, like, they're doing way more stuff than we are just because of CBD. And we're sitting here being like, CBD is THC, almost the same.
Well, it's because we have these fucking knuckleheads that are taking it to a lab and creating Delta something.
Oh, man. They're making just
Delta
so
8.
HCH.
Delta 10. Yeah, what was that today? Mark sent one around. A new
Delta
Hydra Tetra.
HHC.
Oh, yeah.
HHC,
It's supposed to be like CBD
yeah.
that's like 10 times.
As
I think it's more like THC.
You don't want to smoke weed. It
right?
just goes straight through.
So
they just want to buy it at a gas
all these
station.
extractions
It's so
for these
crazy.
weird alternative cannabinoids are just weird, though. You
It's
know
not
what I mean?
extraction; it's synthesis. There's
Is that-
Yeah,
they're
right. Yeah, exactly.
synthesi-
Yeah.
You know,
They're
and the
breaking it all
byproduct is shit. It's just, it's not good for the industry, man. I put the call out. We throw down. You think you have some good dry sift? Bring it by. Adam wants to tell you if it's real or not.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
another
yeah.
distillate.
Bring it. But I see. So Lugo Mez says he was talking about how when you use a coffee grinder, you get the same effect, which is like. But what I was going to tell him is it's actually the stuff around the rim that you want to smoke, not the stuff on the top, because the top stuff is the
'Cause
fluff,
that collected.
and then the stuff on the rim is actually mostly the resin. So it's the same deal. It just sort of naturally separates on its own. But I mean, resin is interesting in the sense that if you like, because once you put it in water, it changes everything, right? Because it's also like the you've taken away a little bit of the qualities that it had when it was really waxy, because a little bit of that wax cover gets taken away. And then, but if you have it like dry sieve, it's crazy how it, like you can, the way you can manipulate it, because it can, like, you can take it, squish it together, break it apart, put it back together, run it through like 18 different ways, and it'll always go back together if it's the right type of resin. You know what I mean? And then you get, like, once you put it in water, though, bonds tend to break a little bit, and then you end up getting a little bit, like, occasionally they'll be really good, but most of the time they're not.
Well, just even like having dry flower and live flower, or fresh frozen flower, you could do the same strains, but then when you look at the resin, you feel like you have like two fully separate different things, and that's just because they finish differently. And so when they finish differently, they like keep stuff, like you were saying, like the wax and stuff like that. It changes when it dries, but it's also much different when it's, fresh and then it's frozen right away. It acts differently. Even when you do put it in the water, you go look at the hash and you're like, one, they look different color, but also they smell a little bit different. They feel a little bit different, but they came from the same plant. So they do act differently just from those small little things, whether it is, water or not. You do even see it just by that small little difference.
Dig it.
It's like kind of like a fingerprint with the hash. Hash is sort of fingerprint of the plant. It tells you a lot about the grow. Tells you a lot about tells you all these little details that you would. I mean, you have to kind of be able to. Observe both, but yeah, definitely you can't hide certain shit.
Yes.
You'd be like, oh, okay, now I get it. You know what I mean? And PGRs and things like that were like definitely.
That's why they're gone now.
I mean, now you don't have to worry about them as much because they're not the thing. But you could see that back in the day when you'd be like, what is going on here? And like,
why does everything look so dense and big?
Yeah, and but also with no resin like on the insides of the things at all, because there's nowhere for it to go. So when you make hash, your yields are so low because it's just like totally visual
Stocks.
Yeah, it's all just dust,
It's like everybody thinks Mac 1 washes because it looks so trikey and beautiful. That thing doesn't wash.
Really?
Yeah, it's not something you should go and wash. Maybe
That's a
dry
t-shirt
stuff.
for you.
Maybe dry stuff, but it's a beautiful, beautiful plant, but it's not the one to go, It's just like jealousy, too. Jealousy has the best taste profile and whatnot, and that's why we use it very little. But the yield on it, like, I have to run something that yields great right next to it to save me on my tiny 1.8% yield that I'm going to get on it.
I've been telling him for the longest time that genetics breeders should list seeds, just a straight line of hash genetics. That
some people are now, though, actually.
Bloom is one of them.
They're doing like an average where they're like, you should expect between 3 to 5 in washing. Because there is some difference, like, you can't tell people how it's going to press because each garden is different. And if you have really good press efficiency, it's because you have a really good clean garden. If you don't have good press efficiency, it means you either have, like, stress or pesticides or a pest problem, And so, like, it's always good to take notes of how it's pressing. That's kind of, back to the reason why we hand press stuff. Is it lets us know the health of the garden more than just the visual. What we're seeing now is, this time it pressed at 85%, and then you go to the next one and it pressed at 72%. Well, we should go back and look at that and say, hey, like, did we do anything differently? How did these plants look? Was it nice and everything was like good? Did we have an AC go down? Because like, you know, there are those times like being here in Colorado, we have days that are sub-zero days. You may
and
have
then the next day it'll be 70 degrees. You're like, Jesus Christ. But
Yep.
yeah, temperature swings are not
and ACs
uncommon.
do not like that stuff.
Right.
You know, and so it's like, you know, every time you have to take track to be like, oh, did those, you know, days of having those frequencies of being lights on, lights off, did that affect the hash at the end?
I mean, usually
yes.
any swings
Yep.
tended to affect everything. Like
They
that's
do. And the hash tells you everything. Like you said, it's like a fingerprint.
It all comes out in the wash.
Yep. No matter what you do, fresh hash. And I think a big thing that's changed too is we have melt versus the traditional hash. And I think that's where we don't see that bricked up hash anymore, is because we do have that dry freezer. And so that now allows us to have that melt. And so everything's really clean, instead of before it was we're using the whole plant just on one bag and we're collecting it all, and that's what we're using. Now it's all separated, and so we get this really clean, you know, head, and now we're, you know, that's what we're seeing versus before we see something, it's a collective. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're now in a different era because of that. And it now shows you so much more of the garden. Like, just shows you right away. Like, you look at the hash and how it presses, you're like, I know something was off, or we really nailed it, guys. We pressed so good. Everything came out great, made great hash, and it really does make a difference when you can look and see the hash and then go and press it. It really tells you where you're at.
Chat Gang is asking, what are some of your favorite strains to press?
Some of the favorite strains definitely are Platinum Rotten Skittles. That's Platinum Jelly Breath to Skittles. That one, it really is melty, but when you press it, it just like gives you this huge waft of Skittles right to the face.
Nice. That's the first time I've heard that name, so
Yeah,
that's
that one.
exciting.
So a lot of the genetics that we have, they're all proprietary. Not necessarily proprietary, but an unreleased seed genetic project that was done in metric. And so we had a friend, Adam Weiss, who is the owner of BOT. So shout out to those guys.
shout out to Adam Weiss.
I got to tell you, he was going to come in tonight.
What?
He was
Where
going to
is
come
he?
in. No, I said, I
You
forgot
told me I would
to
have
tell
texted.
Adam to put you in the card, and I want to give you the props you
He
deserve.
didn't tell me.
And I forgot, so I said, he goes, "Oh, I'll just come in next week then." I don't think.
You
I don't
should have
think
told
he,
me. I would have texted him.
No, even if he can't, I told him he's welcome anytime he wants. But
Yeah, but if I would have texted him, maybe he would have been like, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's meet up.
he
Yeah,
would have come
Dave.
in. Yeah, my fault.
It's all your fault, Dave. I knew we had to blame Dave on something. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Really?
Almost a whole show.
Damn it,
30,
Dave.
40 minutes.
It had almost been a whole show.
We haven't even called him a cop yet,
I know.
which is weird.
What do you mean? Vinny hit the fuck you thing
Oh,
right
did he?
when he shouldn't.
that's not
because
cops.
we needed the people to hit that fucking like thing.
And look how many people did it.
How many? 10?
None. They took away their
There's
likes.
like that
They had
attitude.
likes. We had likes, and then they got it. They
There's
went away.
142
They're gonna
in the
remove-
chat right now. 142.
If-
We had like
Imagine if
100
it-
likes, and now it's down to 65 because they took them all away because you asked for them.
Thanks.
Damn you, Dave. You.
It says fucking 10 likes. What are you fucking talking about?
10 likes, huh?
So we need
Fucking
some
guys.
likes.
You got to do it at the
All right,
beginning, don't you remember?
I forgot. Go fucking hit it now. Who cares?
This is a stoner show. You never forget on a stoner
That's exactly
show.
right. They should know that.
It should be like,
takes a little time.
Oh, stoners get an extra 10 minutes because
They got to wait to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah.
No.
Speaking of stoner shows,
my eyes are like-
Two's. I listened to Two on the podcast.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty good. Talked about me.
He
a lot,
recorded
so
that
that's
a
good.
while
I
back,
know.
right?
He talked about me mostly, so that was okay. That made the show.
Lucky.
I was like, yeah, all right, yeah, Adam Dunn once again in there. No, but it was actually it was really good because it was truth, man. And it was also it's like we talk to Two all the time, so for me it's just like I'm on the phone with him
Yeah.
in my grow because I just sat in the grow and fucking transplanted and listened to him jibber jabber for 2 hours.
Nice.
So that was perfect.
I got one more question from the chat gang for our
Yeah.
guest here. Mark, can you ask the guest about dry sift rosin?
Yeah.
Man, my experiments with dry sift rosin was like harsh, man.
Greeny,
It was
harsh.
really harsh.
It's hard to
and,
get
like,
good. You have to
It's
be
really
really
hard to
good.
get a good product,
really,
right?
really hard. And when it comes to dry sift, it's how cold you can keep the material. And when
Right.
I mean keep it, because you can get it really cold. You can put it in the freezer, get it completely frozen. But as soon as you pull it out, even in a cold room, it starts to get like warmer. And so that's where I really see the difference in dry sift. And having those different screens, it all depends on what screens you use. A lot of people use, like silk screens, that are ones, you can get for like t-shirts and stuff like that. And the reason being is just because they have borders and everything like that. So it allows you to be able to shake it a little bit better. But dry sift, it does always come out, dirtier and everything. But that's where you can add stuff like you were saying earlier, the static tech.
That's the only way to clean it that I figured out. I mean, besides that, is really old.
But you got to be willing to waste some.
Most of it. You got to be willing to waste most of it.
Yeah.
That's the key. You're only going to get a bit out of it because you realize later that just so many particulates. You're just like, fuck. Yeah. It's
really keeping the material clean and then cleaning it up with the static. You're gonna get some really good product.
But if you
that's
clean it up with static,
shelf-stable
you're
and
pretty
stuff.
much at that point so tired you don't want to fucking turn it into rosin at that point. You're like, Jesus Christ! Now
You might as well just keep it that way, because it's gonna be shelf stable for the most part.
well, if you're doing it properly, you should get full melt. And if you're gonna get full melt, really, it's like, what is it like? You're gonna lose.
Nothing.
You're gonna lose just on the fact that you're gonna have to get enough to make enough to lose something to get. You know what I mean? Like you're always losing
Stuck
all
to the jar.
You're always losing all the way along the way. So if you get down to those crazy, that's actually when I was making hash in Amsterdam out in the early '90s, it was like pantyhose stretched over a fucking screen. I was going as rudimentary as you could possibly do. Then I was like, oh, I can go down to the silkscreen shop and buy some silkscreen. Then went and did that. Oh wait, actually I can go get them pre-stretched even better on the aluminum screen. It's got those. But overall, it was like it's humid over there. It's like the conditions are not conducive to make hash. Like, and I wasn't,
stupid hot,
stupid humid, and stupid hot, and stupid everything. Like dusty, just things you didn't need in the mix. But here is like pretty fucking premium. Especially in the winter.
Yep.
Like,
super cold.
I mean, it's like 14% humidity on a humid day, and so a lot of times it just doesn't say anything on my fucking indicators.
It's so much easier to keep our lab cold in the wintertime. We're like, yes, it's not 100 degrees today.
Just open the doors.
Oh yeah, and
but walking out of the lab when it is like 50 degrees, and then you walk outside and it's 100 degrees, it's like night and day difference, because you're like in a coat or a sweatshirt, and then you're like, I wish I was in shorts and a t-shirt. Like, what am I doing?
Like a little antechamber.
That's funny.
Another question here.
Adam Dunn show today.
Can you please ask the guest if he has ever had sun-grown rosin, and if there was any difference in general?
Yeah, so when it comes to sun-grown, it does add a difference in color and some of the terpenes and flavors. Some of them become more robust. Some of them become a little bit less. It all depends on the strain. Typically, it does become a little bit darker, but sometimes something that's like, that on the drier side, you take it outside, and because you get a little bit of those bigger heads, it does become wetter, but it's going to look different. It'll taste a little bit different. But I would say there's not really a disadvantage of growing something outside, especially if you're taking it to rosin. I think it's way harder to get melt out of it. I think if you're able to get melt out of doing it outside, you are a very clean grower, and very much about.
I mean, the problem with outdoors is the fact that you
can't control the
wind. Wind for sure, and it's like the things you see are bad, but the things you can't see are worse. And there's a lot of pests that might not be there on the plant, but they might just come and just dump a little poop there, and then you're like, I don't know. It seems pretty dirty to me for that, but. But then again, we're back to Moroccan hash. I mean, the guy's fucking in the middle of the dirt and dragging it across the floor and sticking it in the guts of fucking goats and burying it underground. And then we're like, this stuff rocks.
I just wiped my butt and rolled it in my hands.
Oh, yeah.
For those of you joining late, this is TJ Fisker from Mountain Select Extracts.
You're not related to the Fisker family.
No, I wish I was.
Different spelling.
I know. I was just throwing it in
So you
there.
can find them at Recreational or
Yeah,
medical?
on rec. And then
No
this
med.
March we're going to be going on to the recs or the medical side
Oh,
as
sweet.
well. And that side it'll be a slow go. Probably do some collabs just so we can get
Bitcoin
on
broke
that
20
side.
grand, dude.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Dump
What?
it. Dump
Dump it.
quick.
Oh, that means everyone who was invested in Bitcoin just made some money. Good time to advertise on the Adam
Yeah,
Dunn
quickly
Show.
before you lose it. You might lose it by tomorrow, so you better advertise today.
Yeah,
Before
your
you lose it
product.
tomorrow.
You know.
You do know. What time's the guard dog coming in? Because
I had told him later.
Well, I know, but
But
he
I-
might need some advice. You
All
never
right.
know. We got.
I can call him up and tell
Give
him to
him a
come
heads
in
up.
now.
Yeah,
Well,
sure.
also to finish up on the
I mean,
sun-grown
you're not-
versus
and you're not
the
going anywhere, so
indoor
don't worry.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Sun-grown, I think
6:20,
honestly can make
15
some of the
minutes.
best
Okay, perfect.
resin. Honestly, it's the most natural way, and so you do get to experience it in a little bit different way, because when you grow something outside, and I learned this like working at Dank by Pink, you know, simplicity is what expresses things, and so when I went and took that and put that into something outside, I kept saying simple to it. It was the first time like growing something full organic, and so growing it outside and then seeing it into the hash, it tastes not necessarily that it's tasting better or different or something. It's just expressed in a little bit different way. Even though I've grown it indoors, so I know how it tastes consistently. When you do it outdoor, it's got a different color. It's got a different texture to it. It's got a very similar flavor. The taste is very similar, but it's just something that's like more on that natural side. And you know, sometimes you just get something that's just like a good expression of that plant, just very true to what it is.
Well, plus the sun is going to clean. Sort of, you know, it's like makes plants kind of reinvigorates plants that were already kind of tired. So if you have stuff that even mother plants, just put them out
Exactly.
and give them that chance to get some real sun.
Yep.
So, I think it transfers into the final product for sure, and you get more THCV potential if you have that too, because you're getting all these other
Or more CBG or whatever it is.
Well, you're getting more UVC and UVB and things that you don't get off the normal lights because they're trying to be safe, obviously.
Yep.
Except now, Yair's got his light coming out.
Another light?
It's already out, but it's the his UVC UVB light, which is like you can't even be in the room when it's on.
I was gonna say I thought they weren't allowing that.
Well, that's I think it's it's only when you're not in the room. is
Wait,
the
didn't
idea.
I see that in that fucking movie with Matt Damon when
What?
he wore the fucking exoskeleton suit and they put him in there and he got irradiated?
Yeah.
Because he was in the room.
Is that what happened? But he,
That's weird.
I gave him $1 million idea during the show because I was like, what?
Of course you did.
I was like, wait a minute. You got to have like a motion sensor built onto that thing. So if somebody walks in the room, goes off because that's some bullshit right there. You can't have like people not knowing because it looks just like a regular grow light. It doesn't look like anything different. And so it's like, oh, turn all the lights on while standing around.
No one would know.
And then it's like, but I think he's, I mean,
What's the side? What happens? What, I mean, we need a doctor
Well,
to tell us what.
it'll burn your retina out is one thing. If I can look
Yeah,
at it. So
it causes like it's pretty much
it's
like
like a
blinding.
melanoma fucking
Yeah.
generator or something. It's like,
It's
hey,
blinding you,
great.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, there's going to be a fucking Law and Order show about the guy lured him into
Like,
the
who
grower
came up with this
to
idea?
save
And there's
him.
Yair going,
Right.
what? Not me.
Oh, it's Adam, man. Sue him.
I said motion sensor.
I said buy these lights.
Watch my show. You can see it on my show back in
I will watch.
2023.
2023.
But yeah, it's interesting with. I mean, you guys are so in your garden. You're doing HIDs or you're doing LEDs or what's your
HID. So we do double-ended.
Yeah.
We're not on the LED train yet. I think they do good work, but all the stuff that I've washed and tested out and everything, some of them it makes it higher in terps and everything, but it doesn't carry across when I go to make the product.
They've done studies,
And so what I really think is eventually we may switch over, and maybe it comes with a different setup, but like the way we built our grow was for double-endeds, and so to switch over to LEDs would be a big cost, and I just don't see the advantage yet. I'm able to hit max potential by, manipulating the room, cleaning the room, doing all these things, so that I'm sticking in line to
Well, I
what
think
the
also
plant needs.
Yeah, and I think also if you were to grow for for extracts, you kind of want them a little more blown out. You don't necessarily want them to be tight as a motherfucker and being all perfect. You know, it almost.
Well, I don't have to put so much heat on them either. I don't have to make them be like raged. I just want them to grow like how they want to grow.
Right.
How about we invite in a lighting engineer from an LED company to just give you a lighting plan so that should you want to consider it in the future, you have something in the can already spec'd out.
Yeah.
Especially, you know how to rate, you know.
Yeah.
Well, what you do is you get one light, put it in a thing, and then test the product and do a little test side by side, because that's really the most important part.
Well,
it's
in the
like
room,
it's figuring
too.
out figuring out if there is a difference between the same product with trikes, as far as like, wait a minute, these heads are falling off easier, and the plants are, you never know, because we all
Did they develop better?
Yeah, they might. I mean, what I did notice with first time growing with LEDs is that they don't fade as easily as on HIDs, right? And the fade to me was sort of like an indicator of the plant just processing everything, and that means it's like good to go.
Yep.
Whereas if it doesn't fade, I'm like, okay, what's going on here?
How long can I
is
take
this
it?
is this locking up? Is this going for a different? Is it because it also seems to finish quicker, which is not a good combination, because you can't finish quicker and not fade. It would be better if it faded earlier and couldn't finish quicker. That makes sense. But if it doesn't fade and it finishes quicker, you may you'll end up with more green sort of final product.
The last weeks too, and you're like, should I be flushing it or should I be like feeding it? It's not really showing me the correct. You're like thinking it's already like finishing, and you're like, I should be ready to flush it. I should have flushed it last week.
Well, you should be flushing anyway, probably.
In
most situations,
no matter what.
In most situations, you probably should. I mean, even though really like true organics, like true proper, like if you're 100% organic and you're on beds and you're doing everything the right way, you actually don't need to flush it at all, because you don't want to flush it, because that will fuck your whole rhizosphere up, and then you'll be out of balance, and you'll be like, oh, now I got to build it back up again.
Able to plant them again.
Well, yeah, you would just fuck the whole process up. So technically speaking, a good organic program, you can just plug and play and drop the next ones in, take those ones out, put the next ones in, do a little top dress, and good to go. And you're on the next round. So flushing is kind of it's going to be the next like soil versus hydro question, because 50% of the people. I mean, it does make a difference. I notice it with like just maybe the ash quality, the color of the ash, or the final. But when you make hash, you really notice it. So sometimes your stuff comes out like almost like burnt rubber flavor. You know what I mean? Like it's like that, still like too much.
I really think
like you took it just all the way to the end.
Yeah.
I really think that flushing too. A lot of people, like, I've realized like they lost like the basics because they're like OGs, like of like checking your runoff, period. Like everybody's just like saying all this shit, like, oh, I run these irrigation times, or oh, I do all this, and like they have no idea. I'm like, why do you run those irrigation times? Like, it should be because you're reaching like a point of EC or ppm throughout the whole process, and like you're staying consistent with that. And like if you get pest or disease issues, your uptake is being kind of like destroyed in the meantime. So it's like, I think that it can stunt your plant, and then they'll hold on to more residuals, then that'll get processed, or you have to extend your flush. I don't know. I think a lot of people like don't look into all the factors that.
When plants just naturally start losing more water and more nutrients to eat, and so if you're looking at it in its fruiting state, just like anything else, it's going to be looking at its food and starting putting sugars into place and using carbs differently and all these kind of different things. And so if you're not doing a proper flush, are you taking this plant to full expression, or are you doing this plant to just max out on it? And a lot of people I know in the hash world have a big debate on even flushing at all. And there is a difference. When you're not taking it to flower, it's not going to smoke great. But if you're taking it to hash, it could make you pull it early and catch it at peak performance with no switching of it to being from like, oh, I'm lacking nutrient because I'm in the middle of a flush. That's when they're cutting it down instead of flushing it. So there is kind of a difference. And I think the way we kind of look at it is, do we want to take the plant to full expression, or do we want to pull it early for holding on to the color and to make sure that we just catch it at its ripe head when it's just the ripest, And so there is just a difference on what you want to do on it. And some people look at, oh, pull it early, and I want to make the most prettiest looking hash in the world. But is that going to be the most flavorful? Is it going to be potent? Is it going to hold all the attributes of the plant? Or are you going to be like, I'll take it to its expression and then take it down?
Science.
Question from the chat gang.
Question from the chat gang. You need that as a sample.
Yeah, I know, right?
Question from the chat.
Our good friend Mike Denver asks if you could go into any kind of detail about your freeze drying process.
Ooh, it's a great question.
Slap it in there and fucking shut the door.
You turn it on.
That's why I was a little confused about the question.
Well, they have ramp up. You have
close the door before you turn it on.
You kind of set your different ramp up times. Some of them go slow ramp up. Some of them go quick. Some of them go. There's some programming, I guess.
So, and there's also new brands. So there's new brands. There's also new ones out there, but we use the Harvest Right. So I always use the updated version, and the reason being is it just gives you all the test parameters, and so we're always checking the vacuum and what we're doing on the shelves, because if the shelves stop working or one is always on, you're going to pull it open and be like, that whole shelf is melted. Why did this one whole shelf melt? And it's just because whatever, you cleaned it, the connection got really cold, whatever happened to the machine, it can affect how it operates. And so if one shelf isn't operating right, you'll never really know, but it has all the tests. So I always recommend people, they're always like, oh, should I update my machine? Update the machine. And so you have the availability to make these tests. It was something they added, and I think it was because they were tired of getting phone calls from hash companies about, yo, why did this happen? Because they're losing hundreds of dollars. It's not like they're drying fruit,
Right.
Can you imagine? It's always funny when companies blow up in certain situations, like, and you know that they are not coming from, and they're in Utah too, so it's even more like, I bet they're Mormons. They're like, what's happening?
We're just a nice family.
We just want to make fruit, dude. Why are these people coming at me all crazy? Like, you made me lose a bet. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, millions of dollars in their mind.
Leave Brittany alone.
$10,000 per run, and I lost 3 runs. But yeah, because it is. I mean, one of the things too is like when you're doing it that way, do you like you want it as sort of wet as possible, and when you go in, make it all like so it's like sloppy, sloofy.
Exactly.
You don't want it
to start to find a good like consistency where it's not like, oh, I've got it super wet, or you're like, oh, it's super dry. You're like, this is kind of frosty or something.
You come up to
you start to find that consistency. And one other good tip is there are good forms out there, and there are good companies out there that have, good settings about the harvest, right? And how
we got a wedding or something? What's going on?
No, he's at the Home Depot.
Lawyer at the Home Depot. What's going on, Jeff?
Welcome to the show, the Guard Dog.
Guard Dog.
Yes, thank you guys.
Hi, Mr. Guard.
Do you have any theme song for him, Vinny, or something like that? Like a dog's barking or
J-Lo might be calling you later.
I need an intro song. You're right.
Yeah.
We're getting it.
Like Underdog.
Like Dragnet, but with dogs barking it or something.
So wait, we're gonna play.
Exactly.
Let's guess where Jeff is. What is
guess where Jeff is?
I'm seeing
Some back
always
office.
in a different place.
It's a weird spot.
Looks like he's at my job with those
AutoZone.
you're at an Amazon shipping center.
Yeah, like a warehouse or something.
Warehouse.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
There you go.
Anyways, welcome to the show.
I like your floating cloud background thing there. That's neat.
That's the smoke.
That's just
we
the smoke.
make
That's our smoke, bro.
Yeah,
that's all
just-
real. That's all real.
Totally real.
That's all Adam.
Totally real.
It wouldn't surprise me.
So where are you?
Give us I hear kids though.
I'm at a bike shop.
Of course you are.
Bike
Where else
shop.
would you be on a Friday?
Good
At a
job.
bike shop.
We couldn't see any bikes in the shot. That's why I was like,
But there's still some around.
Somewhere.
But I just, because everybody's here is being loud, drinking and having fun. So
So welcome, Jeff Guard Law Firm. or guardlaw.com or at jeffguard42 on Instagram. And let's get right off the bat. Have there been any new filings against J-Lo since the last time you've been on the show?
You know, I'm usually the last to know. She usually waits and thinks she can handle it, and then she gets real embarrassed when there's new stuff that she does, and then she'll come to me when it's too late.
Okay, I'm just
Pretty
checking.
far down the road.
Just checking. So
The guard
She's
dog,
been
look
pretty
at.
good.
Thank you. Look at the guard dog's outfit. He is killing
Smart.
it
He's
right
smart.
now.
Smart.
Yes.
he looks like Sherlock Holmes.
You need a pipe.
Where's the
That's a
monocle?
Dave
killer
is
pattern,
stout.
You
man.
need a pipe and a monocle.
The boys.
You know what? I do really need that. You're right.
You got a pocket watch?
Exactly what I need.
Pocket watch. Good idea. Yes.
So-
I do have a pocket watch. Yes, thank you.
So I'm
I
hoping
do.
you guys in the chat gang have some questions for the guard dog. But right off the bat, I think what comes to mind is, what do you think about Proposition 122 and home cultivation and I guess I'm going to four-part it, the potential for the legislator to revoke and remove or amend the home grow provision for psilocybin to the point where it's not really home grow?
First of all, 122 is what it is, and it's not what it's not. I mean, it does, like you said, Dave, it does allow for home cultivation, home possession, home consumption. That's all legal, and that's fine. I don't think there's a realistic possibility that a completely Democrat legislature, Senate, and governor are going to be overturning anything about that. And I think by the time those politics would ever change, I think it's going to be kind of part and parcel. It's just going to be no big deal. I don't think you're going to see anything happen that way. But again, the problem, I think, is like when it was medical. It's one thing to have a little home grow and to do a little something for your personal use, but where they come down to your psilocybin basement, you've got 100 pounds packaged up in 1 pound increments and a scale and everything else. It's very clear you're not
And a Tony Montana
personal
poster on the
consumption,
wall.
right?
You're like, you're going down. This is it.
And
Right.
so is there a provision in 122 that would allow one to give mushrooms to another?
You can give them away, you cannot sell them.
Oh.
And so, there's no sale of mushrooms of any kind by anyone. Even these healing centers are just supposed to be charging for the service when and if they get involved. They're supposed to charge for the service, not the psilocybin.
Wait, the
So-
service, doesn't that sound like that triangle from back in the medical days where you had to provide advice, massage, something like that to technically be, a medical cannabis facility?
Yeah, but the difference here, Dave, and this is going to be weird, is that you've got to use the mushrooms on site. It's not like you can take the mushrooms and head out. I mean, and that's what the people who were advocating for legalization of psilocybin were complaining about, was that this right, really, other than a possession right or a home cultivation right, really doesn't legalize mushrooms in the way that that a lot of people thought we should. And I think what happened was people got too cute by trying to go in through the medical model, and they said, well, it's medicine, it's medicine, it's medicine. Oh, you want medicine, do you? Okay, here's a healing center. You can go use your medicine over there. So there's no money in this. There's no way to monetize this in any significant way. And
Real
again,
estate. Real estate.
What if there's an end around, though, Jeff? What if the end around is to revoke the home, to make it so that it's so vague they don't have the home grow? This is what the people who came on our show and sort of got us to, we saw their side of it more than we saw the 122 side. We were for 61, but they saw the provision, how it was written, as being so vague that it could be removed. And so
I honestly don't think that. I don't think that's going to be removed or even be on anybody's radar to be removed, unless what happens
Dave
is
keeps
this
talking.
becomes a big underground source of black market, mushrooms everywhere. I mean, if people start being stupid and we start every car getting pulled over in Wyoming and Nebraska and Kansas starts having 50 pounds of mushrooms in them, then things are going to get weird. But if people just do their thing and share a little with their friends and keep it small, that's fine. It's when you start thinking this is a business opportunity instead of a right to use psychedelics and
no one would ever do that in Colorado. Come on, dude.
No way.
No. Well, where the cannabis industry's at right now, I just stay clearly out of any kind of business shit with any kind of anything. It's a mess right now.
Guard Dog, can I ask you a question?
Here it comes.
Here we go. Yes.
So yesterday,
I figured this is why I was asked to be on this Friday. I'm sure J-Lo was saying, "Can you get him on? I got some shit going on."
Oh my gosh, nobody has any faith.
No, continue. Please continue.
Okay, so
business as usual.
I keep getting asked by all of these people in the industry. There's supposed to be this new compliance change where you can do a one-time product transfer on medical to retail.
Yes.
Do you know how that works?
It has to be done in the lab, as far as I know.
It all works in. This is a hyper technical question, but it all works in metric, where you essentially take an amount of cannabis that was grown medically, and you designate it as recreational, and then you basically do an internal transfer between your medical grow to your retail grow. And what this was really designed for, J-Lo, was to get genetics from the medical side over to the recreational side without doing any hinky shit. It's not so interesting on the product side because, again, medical grows, they're not. Why would you want to just convert whatever? I mean, you could do it if you were like low on recreational, but who's low on any kind of pot in a warehouse right now? No one. It was really designed to allow genetic seeds and clones and plants to be able to be converted over to recreational, because a lot of the really hot shit strains were still originally medical strains, and so but to get them over the other side, there really wasn't any way to do that except for pretend like, oh, this really isn't Blue Dream or whatever, this is something else or whatever. And so it's a way to get genetics really, and genetic transferred from medical to rec.
So
But
you couldn't.
it's basically the dumbest
you
thing
just
ever, is what it
designate
is.
Yeah.
So you couldn't take
basically the dumbest thing in the world. But anyway, yes.
Or if you're gonna shut your medical down, you do a big one-time transfer into a rec and then shut down the medical license.
So
if there's no money there.
There's no way then to take like finished product and like you can't get rid of it on the medical side. So you're like,
yeah, you can.
Oh,
yeah, you can. You
okay.
can still do that. I'm just saying that there's not a lot of, that's kind of a one-time problem or an individualized, problem. I mean, if that's the case, if you've got a bunch of medical pots sitting over there and no finished product in the rec side, you could absolutely designate that as rec product and move it over in metric. No problem.
Wow, thank you, Mr. Guard Dog.
Thank you, Mr.
No problem.
The reason I said that, Dave, is because I was at Apothecary, and there's someone from the med actually talking to the people there about this whole thing, and they said that they could actually put rec to med too, so we can get new flavors over on both sides.
That's true. It does go one way. It does go both ways.
Right.
The only reason I didn't mention that part of it is nobody's doing any kind of medical grows anywhere right now except for Colorado Springs, because the med side is completely died. I mean, they didn't, and it's a bummer because, again, I think there's still a lot of medical patients. I think if they had been treated well by the businesses and incentivized to be with those dispensaries, it would still be around. But I mean, you saw it happening over the last couple of years. Just that medical side, just small, and no reason to do it. So,
Jeff, what does one-time transfer mean?
It means that product doesn't go back and forth between medical and rec. Oh,
It goes
so
one time.
when you do it,
Got
you
it.
say,
It's
I'm
not
gonna
one transaction per strain once, like you can move some GMO over once and that's it.
Yeah.
You can. It just can't go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Yes, exactly. It just
Okay.
means that once you say, I'm going to make this this medical product recreational, you can't say, well, that didn't work out. Let's make it medical again, you know?
Got it. Okay, that's fair enough. So really, there's no lines anymore. It's done. It's totally blurred.
Yeah,
You can,
and for businesses like 14 or, you know, as you know, Dave, they had a lot of really great genetics on the medical side that were just sitting there because there was nobody buying the medical pot, but they had all the great genetics over there. And so this was really, I think a lot of people are still in that same boat. And so really the real benefit of the businesses isn't sort of this, we don't have enough finished product on the rec side, but we got a bunch of finished product on the medical side, like J-Lo was talking about. But it's really being able to get your genetics from one type of license to another. So
what great genetics would you be talking about at 14er? That
I can't, like, that's proprietary, you know, that's attorney-client privilege, buddy.
they have some amazing genetics there. That one with that guy's face on it. Oh, mwah.
Yeah, worst face.
I have
best
treats
weed.
for.
I'll take that. I'll fucking take that.
That DC, that
Oh, here it goes.
DJC or whatever it is. Oh, yeah.
Whatever it is.
I'm
He's been saying this now 10
They
years
grew the
because
guard dog
he
strain and
wanted.
they never put it out on the shelf. You're the only person that's ever had the guard dog strain.
I did.
Oh my gosh, I've smoked the guard dog.
I never have.
No, we had it. It was out.
You've never smoked your strain?
What? It was on the shelves.
I'm getting you some
I
guard
didn't get
dog.
anything.
It must have got off the shelves really quick.
It was big. It was so
See,
popular.
they don't know what they're doing. You know.
All right. I'll talk to one of the growers there.
Yeah, you do that.
Okay.
Reed should take care of me for that.
Yes, he should. He should. So, how are cannabis prosecutions right now? Is law overly zealous?
They're still doing the same thing. It's really what they're using the pot prosecutions for is to see if they can get at some of the other drugs that are flooding out there. You know, the way task force works is you bust a guy, then you tell a guy, well, we'll let you off if you give us 3 names or you help us, you know, get a guy bigger than you know, up the line. And right now, so much of the black market stuff's suffering exactly the same. I know so many black market growers who are getting out of it because they can't sell their pot either. And so what these prosecutions are turning into are ways to look for fentanyl dealers, ways to look for meth dealers, ketamine, you know, that's flooding everything. So what they're hoping is that the pot guy knows the guy that's, you know, bringing in the fentanyl. So, you know, there's not a lot of prosecution of anything.
Why
like
would that
I mean,
guy know? Why would a pot guy know a fentanyl?
Because we all hang out
Who in
together.
the DEA
it's just
thinks this
I
way?
think a lot of the black market. You know, connections and roads are traveled by the same folks. You know, it's not like pot guys hang out
I
with
think
fentanyl
at the
guys,
sleazy
but black
zone,
marketing
there's
weed
some-
out of the state is its own thing.
That's it. That you know, we have a line on this show that J-Lo coined. That's fucked up. Yeah, that's really fucked up. That's so fucked up that
There's a lot of messed up stuff that comes up sometimes, you know. You just can't call it something else.
I mean, Jeff, come on, I get made fun of because I don't know a lot of things, but that drug is the one fucking drug you don't want to be fucking around with it. It's responsible for deaths.
You do it 1 or 2 times and you start going through withdrawal like immediately. That's the problem with that one is that you do a bunch of blow. It's going to take you a long time to get to where you can't function without it. But with fentanyl, you're going through withdrawal symptoms after 2 or 3 times of using it, and your body hurts and your bones ache and you know, most of the people I know that got into it stayed into it just because they didn't want to be sick. You know.
Oh, do you remember the TV show Simon and Simon?
Yeah.
There was one of the episodes. The guy dips his finger in, and he goes, Oh, fentanyl. And my chemistry teacher in high school used that as an example to say that he might have been able, after it touched his tongue, to get his hand away, but he probably wouldn't have been able to verbalize the words fentanyl if he had his whole finger covered in it and he put it on his tongue. Even if he spit it out, he would have gone into cardiac arrest and he would have died right there, and that would have been the end of the show. Yeah, you just don't want it. They deal with it in grains in the hospital. Would they take a single grain?
I hope pot makes a comeback, because the kids right now, all they want is fucking these pills and the Xanax and the benzos and the
it's so
and the
fucking
bullshit.
stupid.
All the high school kids are just fucking around with all this pharmaceutical shit.
Why? Pot is so much fucking fun.
Right?
This. Have you tried his extracts yet, Jeff? I'm telling you, you gotta fucking try. Oh my fuck! I'm absolutely blown away. He brought what? I tried 2 strains, 3 strains. They're all uniquely different. They all have a different nose to them. They all process different. They all look different.
It's also artisanal too, and that's I don't understand people that don't appreciate cannabis. It just makes no sense to me. These kids are dumb.
It's because
kids are dumb.
The military.
Kids are dumb. That's a new shirt. Oh, new shirt. I'm making one.
It's
I'm sorry, we're using that. You said it on the show.
My lawyer says.
Taste. My lawyer says kids are dumb. That's what I was gonna say.
Kids are dumb.
Yeah.
Shit's fucked up.
Yeah. Shit's all fucked up.
Yeah.
Guys, we can't be using this extremely valuable time to talk about
Who's got
fentanyl.
a legal question?
Nobody has me. That's okay. They know where I am. They know where to find
me. A legal question. If you are in possession of mushrooms and you are traveling, how should you travel with your mushrooms? So if you get pulled over, you don't get in trouble.
Again, just don't. You probably shouldn't travel with them in the console. But anytime you're in the vehicle, the only place in a vehicle that is safe from search is an enclosed, locked container. So a locked glove box.
And Stash Logic's made in Boulder, Colorado, with an X, or Humboldt Humidors.
You need a warrant for that.
Or Humboldt.
You need a warrant for that.
Okay, Jay, did you hear that?
Right there.
Yeah, thank you.
Does she know she doesn't?
And again,
got a lock on it.
They haven't trained dogs. They haven't trained dogs how to smell mushrooms yet, so it don't matter.
Okay, and then the Department of Health. They've been coming in hot, it seems like, the last month or so in the MED. I've been hearing it's been rough out there.
Department of Health?
I think they're really trying to make a correction in the marijuana industry right now. I think that the MED is stepping in on grows, the dispensaries, what they owe on taxes, how they're filing for their licensing.
It is rough. I agree with you. They all went dark, just like the IRS did during COVID. And they didn't have manpower. They didn't have people out in the street. But now they're making up for lost time. So they're going to be a little bit hyper-zealous right now. Anybody that's out there owning a business or working in a business, compliance is what you do. You just happen to sell weed and grow weed, but your business is compliance. If you stick with that model, you're not going to have any problems. But it is rough out there because they are back out. They are doing stings. They are doing inspections. They are catching up on taxes. They're doing all that shit because, again, when the revenue starts to fall, then you squeeze the ones you got for everything they got. So,
Jeff, do you know the name of the person that was tried in the 80s for the cocaine violations that created 280E? Somebody asked me today. I had no idea.
Mr. Rosencliffe.
No, there was a guy who ran a cocaine business.
No, I don't know who that was, but that was exactly how it came up. It was one of these things where these guys were, of course, trying to get clever. They're trying to say, well, we're writing. They had been writing off, all of their expenses for their henchmen and their cigar boats and their bullshit. And that's when cost of goods sold became the kind of mantra for evaluating income. But it goes all the way back to the bootlegging days as well.
Wow.
It was Jeffrey Edmondson.
Got it.
Bastard.
There you go.
What do you see?
Good.
Do you have any...
It was Aldous Huxley. No,
a Minneapolis-based man who dealt in amphetamines, cocaine, and marijuana.
Well, it was Albert Hoffman's birthday the other day. We should have mentioned that earlier.
One crime at a time, man. One crime at a
But
time.
do you have any crystal ball as to when you would see there being, any type of movement on the federal level to get one set of standards?
It could very well be in this second term. I mean, it's hard to say. I've gotten cynical, Dave. I've been trying to lobby and advocate getting cynical. Since 2010, I've been flying out to D.C. and trying to get this shit going. And nothing's happened. Not one bit of needle has moved. But I think, and I think it's regrettable that Biden announced that he's going to run again.
Fuck.
Because if he wasn't going to run again, this is when you're a lame duck, then that's when things start to happen. When you got nothing to lose, that's when you start doing all the shit that you want to do and you don't care about the next election. But him re-announcing, I mean, it's just going to get us a Republican in office, and I don't know what's going to happen, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next two.
We'll see. I kind of think I don't see Biden ever allowing federal descheduling on his watch.
No,
he was
I don't
the architect
think
of
he's
the drug
allow
war.
it, but I think he's not going to stand in the way of the
He
Chuck
might not even
Schumer's
remember
either,
he did that. That's the thing.
Oh, okay. You got me on that one.
He might just be like, what? I said what? I never said that.
I left the papers that said I was going to do that over here.
Yeah.
Do you think that they'll reschedule it, or do you think that it eventually will be treated as
descheduled?
I think it'll be descheduled. I think it's going to be treated very much like the way that they're treating hemp. I think it's going to go that way. It's going to fall. It's going to fall so far. If it goes into scheduling, it's going to fall so far below what the FDA and the drug companies are going to be able to regulate. That's always been the concern as we go down to Schedule 3, Schedule 4, and it gets regulated by the FDA. But I think more likely than not, it's going to fall down below 5 or 6. Where it's because again, you've got to look at you can't put the genie back in the bottle here. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Mm-hmm. These state programs have run now for a decade, and whatever happens in terms of cannabis is going to take all of the state programs into account. So,
yep.
What? Also, I don't think I think a lot of people don't know how cool Jeff Gard is and his firm.
Ooh.
As far as
let's go with this.
Well, how much turf Mr. Gard has covered, that he how long you've been in the industry, that you're actually a cannabis specific
Hold on, the king has something to say.
I'm getting ready.
Yes, King.
Yeah, well.
Oh, that's excellent. King Friday.
King Friday the 13th.
King Friday the 13th.
I have Daniel Striped Tiger on my desk.
Oh.
Get him out. We need to have a talk. Next time you have to call in from your office.
Bring him. I'll bring Daniel as a special guest.
Nice. I'll get the sweater. I'll bring the sweater. And we can have a
I'm going to dress up as, who am I again?
The clown.
Captain Kangaroo.
Oh, yeah, Captain Kangaroo. Don't you
That's
think
right.
he would make a good
that's beautiful.
He would make a
Well,
beautiful
thank you, J-Lo. I appreciate you guys, letting me on the show and saying nice things about me. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free to reach out. If you don't know how to get a hold of me, and Dave will tell you, you can always get a hold of these guys, and everybody knows how to get a hold of me. If you get into trouble, I'll help you get out. You want to stay out of trouble, that's probably a better use of your time, your money. So, come see me before you get into trouble. That's probably the better idea. So.
I made my first call to him in 2009.
Business contracts for those out there.
Yeah, you
did. 2000.
Yeah, you did.
And that's another thing we should mention too, because we always talk about you being a criminal defense attorney, but your practice can handle setting up cannabis businesses.
Oh yeah,
structures.
We formed hundreds of these things. There was only 3 attorneys when this started out: me and Warren Edson and Rob Corey. And we know what happened.
Sorry.
That name. I got to give a shout out to Chris Matz also.
One of them's gone, and one of them's missing in action, and there's just me. And now every firm in Colorado thinks they're cannabis lawyers, but they don't know shit.
Wait, that wasn't you that smoked a joint at Mile High Stadium, and with the cameras on and everything back then?
No. Do you know who I am? He says to the cop.
Don't you know who I am?
Oh, that was exactly it. That was the day he jumped the shark. It all changed after that.
That was
but
classic.
Yeah, so you should know that if you want to get in, getting your business structured correctly means you can avoid problems that will inevitably pop up. You have one chance to sign your structure.
And if you want to sell it, if you want to buy one, everything has to be done right. That's what we do. So thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Later, Dave.
Oh, Mike Denver, you're borderline. You might be dead to me. Dave can dress up as Cartman.
They said that Adam looks like the teacher from South Park.
That is funny.
Wait,
with the Mr. Garrison. Yeah.
My penis. Has anybody seen my penis?
Exactly.
What was his name? I'm totally forgetting his name.
Oh God.
Someone help.
Mr. Garrison?
Mr. Garrison.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Puppet's name.
Exactly.
You don't listen to me.
Mr. Hand.
Mr. Hat.
Mr.
No one listens to me.
Mr. Hat.
Mr. Hat.
Would you say something, Mark?
Just relax, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Can we have a talk with Dutch Danny Danko yet? Vinny?
No, Dutch Danny.
Oh.
No Dutch Danny.
We
Call him
need
up.
Dutch
You
Danny.
can call him live if you want.
No, we have to do shout
you
outs at
noticed-
6:45.
6:45.
Oh.
My God.
BuildASoil.com.
Good, you can help us
Build a
out.
soil.
Did we
Bill. Everybody say the one.
Did you mention it? How do you grow? Is it organic soil?
So we do not do organic. We do all cocoa. We don't have cocoa with perlite or cocoa with what's it called? I forget their stuff. But peat moss. Yeah.
You should
We
be aware that
just
you're
do
gonna
cocoa.
get a phone call from our good friend Tim at Bio365 to
Right.
send you a pallet of cocoa or whatever you want just to try it out.
I'd love to. Yeah. We're cocoa, Athena, and a few different organic additives.
Oh, you're right up J-Lo's alley right there.
Now we're going to change that up, too.
Whoa.
All right, we're going to help
And
you.
I've made my rounds. I've definitely, like to keep things simple, especially with how complex salts have come. Growing inside is much different than growing outside. Even if you were doing like a greenhouse and whatnot, and it's very controlled, I think that growing in salts and having cocoa is something that you can keep very clean and in control of anything that you're either having problems or success with. And then when it comes to cleanup, your cleanup becomes really easy, and then it's also you can get really clean, and you're able to actually give a full scrub down, bake your room, take everything out, and start fresh. Where when you have something like soil or full organics, you're having to keep these things growing and there, and if they're gone, you're losing a little bit of your grow instead of starting fresh every single time.
Yeah, no, it's definitely harder to go fresh in a organic situation because otherwise, like
It's
you said,
impossible.
you're no matter how good you could get real creative and pull everything out, clean the whole place, and slide it back in, and it can all be in big beds, and they can there's ways to do it, but it's it's labor intensive.
You need an army,
and it doesn't. It's it depends where you are too. If you're in the city, you're in the if you're in the place where you have greenhouses connected to your spot, then of course you can do that kind of crossover.
Do you?
But we can find better. But we can
flour
find
at
other
all?
inputs for you. So let's go back to this.
What was that?
I just had a question. Do you grind your flour at all in the process?
No, so we never grind any of our flour.
Start trying to sell it.
Everything is all just barely touched, so it's all defanned before we take it down. And this is the way so that we touch the plant the least, and we're always holding on to the stalk, and we're only cutting off the greenest tips. And even if it's 30%, like we'll keep it there because all of that hash is so delicate and so like premium and proper. There's no sense to degrade it and cut it off. So we just cut it all down.
You're
by
an
scissor,
artist.
and that's how we freeze it.
So if anyone finger fucks it, they get fired.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ooh, finger fuck equals
Green
fired.
Farms Med in Colorado Springs. You have to have a med card, and we will be having a done deal with Holos Health Setup in the next week or
Nice.
so.
Before we go on any further, though, at Build a Soil, we have scheduled a show ahead for the first time ever.
Really?
What?
Because you know how hard it is for me to nail
get
one.
Jeremy?
To get
Where?
Jeremy, but I got to have Jeremy
Nice.
and Miles on the same time. So that's
Oh, good.
And then I'm going to bring in Chris Trump that we couldn't get on the day because he was running around. So we'll have Chris Trump, Miles, And
Dig it.
It's going to be the organic megasode.
A megasode. So if you're in Colorado
It's a
Springs, head over to Green
megasode.
Farms Med, ask for the Dunn deal. They will. I'm not going to say you're going to get 25% off, but you're going to get a hell of a great deal there. GreenFarmsMed.com.
Harvest bucket.
In the last of the places you can get in Med.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
mean,
It's
they're
there.
fleeting
Deep
right
in-
now.
Deep.
Greenbros.com.
Manufactured in Las Vegas, American made, commercial products. If you get the bucket, which we determined is equivalent to 1 atom but 3
MTIs,
marks.
yeah.
So you want this bucket. It works out to about $340.
The enthusiasm in his voice. Yeah.
You hook it up to your drill. It does a fantastic job. You're going to get 10% off your order. However, anything else there, and that's even the $20,000 commercial items,
Anything.
5% off.
5.
Hell of a deal.
Whopping.
Greenbros.com.
I think they even make a tumbler to make dry
They do. They sure do.
Yep.
Apothecary Farms.
That's
If
a
you
square
are
thing, right?
into-
Isn't it a square?
Oh.
Yep.
We're
Yeah, I
going to
remember
have just for our benefit, we'll have to have a dab off
Yeah.
between
fun.
Mountain
I would love
Select.
to.
But it's not a
Maybe we
contest.
can do a
It's
collab,
just.
too.
Yeah.
Dab.
Well, you guys
collab.
have very similar business models
Yep.
because they grow their own. They don't buy
Yeah.
from anyone else, and they process for very few vendors right now. 14 being one of them, but they just opened their.
Newest one in Garden of the Gods in
Yeah, they just got
Colorado
that.
Springs.
God.
And they've been crushing out in Oklahoma.
Dude,
6 stores in Oklahoma.
and all week they've been having max out Monday prices. So
Nice.
get down there. It goes until Monday. This next coming Monday. So
Max
get
out
down there. Max
Monday.
out Monday. $100 for 8 grams, dude.
$100
For on the med side.
Deal.
Yep. So if you're into concentrates and you're in Colorado or Oklahoma, check out one of their now 6 locations. Apothecary Farms.
See, that was timing, right?
Oh, shit.
Dab
So,
X.
Not that thing.
They say dabbing has never. This is it. They say dabbing has never been easier. I gotta fill it for you though. It is my absolute favorite electronic rig to date. Maybe something will come out in the coming years, but right now, the simple way that the vapor does not go on the same path as the Reclaim.
It's very nice.
It
Very
totally incredibly clean. Look how clean it is.
This is what I'm excited to experience.
You'll love it.
I know it.
Oh God.
It's definitely hefty too, so it's not gonna like fall.
But also, Adam's been using this for like the past 3 or 4 weeks now. The MK1 Rocket.
The Rocket. I like it.
It's amazing. It turns any rig into a dab rig.
And
Electronic dab rig.
You know, they have a rig that
This comes off. This is the battery that clicks on.
he's using the rig that they gave him for it, but you can use any rig that you
That
want.
is fun.
So if you have a favorite rig and you want to just turn it into an e-nail very quickly
Drops
with
right
an
in.
easy magnetic charge, check out the Rocket.
And
Go
it-
to dabx.com.
They hit good. They
Enter
hit good.
Dunn deal at
Haven't even
checkout.
used one.
I'm on it today, dude. Ozo Coffee.
So
You got some of that.
this, you know what? We almost don't need to say much about Ozo Coffee. You know why? Because we know you know how awesome they are. Because you used the Dunn Deal code 600 times last year. So that is amazing. And Ozo thanks
gotta
you, and
get
we thank you.
700 this time.
What you need to do is go to ozocoffee.com, enter Dunn Deal at checkout, and just get the subscription. Okay? Rosin Dog's really, he actually turned us on to it. He
Rosin
started
Dogs?
posting right away that he was just getting the subscription, so it varies everything. Rosin Dogs, J-Lo's here. Say hi.
He doesn't even talk to me anymore.
Oh, no.
Doesn't care.
Well, because you don't look at the chat no more. No
down.
one looks at the chat. They're all sad.
Everybody's
Left
got it up.
left
What are you
on
talking
red.
They're
about?
all on the chat.
I know.
They're all
But
checking
they're
it
all
out.
like sad. They're like, you don't look at the chat no more. Anyways,
No, 'cause
Ozo Coffee.
No, we used to have it right in front of us, and it was
And that
too
was
distracting.
distracting.
Yeah.
We all watch.
But we have it in case somebody
can
says
see.
something
I
bad
know we
about
all
Dave.
do.
We can all laugh and
Yeah.
snicker.
All right.
We're here.
Ozo
I'm
Coffee.
usually the first person to laugh.
OzoCoffee.com.
14er Boulder. You can shop live or you can place a pre-order at 14er.com. 14erboulder.com. Their rosin is fantastic. Their flour is amazing. You got to
You
try
see
the
that picture,
DJC.
TJ?
Got to try the Truth. Look at
You
that
always
rosin
stay right
dong.
there. I
Mark
scroll right
loves
by
to
that
hold it
dong
there.
thing every time.
Vinny's professional. He goes past it.
Nice.
But you want to hold it on there. So they're
I might
dedicated
get
to
that
amazing
tomorrow.
flour.
What?
I don't
Dave's a
know.
party
He's
guy.
talking about getting a dong tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe
Thanks,
donging?
Vinny.
Oh, speaking of dongs, we got DHC right there.
Look at that.
Oh, there you go, right there.
Oh.
There it is.
Look at that guy.
Look at him. Look at him.
That's a cutie,
What an
by the
ugly
way.
mug.
14 or bolder.
What an
14 or
ugly
bolder.
mug. That's
Stash
what his
Logics.
mom must have said.
We just got done talking to Jeff Gard.
That's exactly right. Jeff Gard says it all. Stash Logics with an X. Enter Dunn Deal at checkout.
Lock it up.
You get 20
Fanny pack
something
with a lock.
percent
How
off.
cool are you?
Might be 25.
Yeah,
Not
and
bad,
since
I
it's
was-
locked,
You're like, yes, officer. I
Wait.
do have a fanny pack.
Wait, does the fanny pack lock?
And it's locked.
Yeah, dude.
And it's
Now you
locked,
I'm in.
sir.
I'm in.
You'd be like,
That's
"Where's
like
the warrant?
parking
Where's the
lot
warrant?"
stuff.
Yeah.
Even
warrant.
your wallet.
Dang.
Like they got a lockable
On
Oh,
wallet.
shake-
yeah, that'll work.
That's
That
like
works,
you're on
right?
Shakedown Street.
That's what my
Oh,
lawyer
wow.
said to say. He said,
That's-
say
That's good
warrant.
too.
Why doesn't
bitch.
everybody
That's
talk
flick
over
your
it?
head.
Good.
Yeah, the
guard.
wallet's good too.
Lockable wallet.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying.
Anyways, so
like
yeah,
you
this
got
is all
the
good
briefcase.
stuff right here.
Stash
Stash
Logics.
Logics, right out of Boulder, Colorado.
There we
Correct.
go.
All right.
Ba-dum-bum.
Hempin.
Oh, there we
Dude,
go.
Oh,
Vindicator, code Vindicator.
No,
Code
no,
Vindicator,
no.
Vindicator,
There's
Vindicator.
a new deal.
Oh,
Anyone
there's a
that-
new deal in
No,
town.
no, there's a
Oh,
new
what is it
deal in
now?
town.
because
I don't
2
wanna
hasn't
hear
set
it.
up all the codes. Anybody that's ordered from the Adam Dunn show,
Oh, yeah.
he sent 2 for 1 out.
Oh, what a guy.
Whoa.
50% off.
So if you order a bottle of
Damn.
hempen in the
I-
comments, if you write Dunn Deal or Vindicator in there, you'll
Or-
get 2 for 1.
Oh, okay.
Not on the Tiger.
That's 2.
Well,
That's
I'm
2
gonna
times
I'm gonna
that's
order
2
something
times as
then.
good.
Dang.
Hold on a second.
2.
Dang.
Vindicator and Dunn Deal are equal now?
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like proper.
But if
fucking-
he was changing things over, why can't Vindicator be 2 points less than the Dunn Deal?
No, look,
I'm
Dave's
just
never
saying.
happy.
I'm just
But yeah,
saying.
order some up and just
Never
write in the
have to.
comments that you're from the Adam Dunn Show or code Vindicator,
It's too
and
complicated
So-
for him.
you get some 2 for 1, yo.
2 for 1. Not the
you will-
Tiger Blood, though.
I'm going to tell you something right now. You're never going to see hempen on the fucking shelves at a gas station. Okay?
Yo.
This is
yeah.
superior.
Unless you're in
Superior.
Alamosa.
I don't know. Might be a
This is
local
real
gas
nice.
station.
Tired of
He
this.
may get down there.
Get the fuck out. Listen, you know what I mean. His product is fantastic. I
High
take
quality
it every
ingredients.
day. I give it to my dog every day. I give it to my kid every day. So go to hempenco.com.
No, hempen.co.
hempen.co and just put a note in there and say Done Deal by Vindicator. And
that's a
you'll
good
get,
one.
something off, 20%.
This one's
2 for 1.
2 for 1.
Fishheadfarms.com.
So do you know the shit?
Fish it, yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
Never used it.
Well, we're going to have some sent.
Use
We
it
have some
yesterday.
here for you.
It's the
probably,
shit.
give you. So go to fishheadfarms.com, enter Done Deal at checkout. They were our what? Mark's got that look on his face.
Now the Vindicator is the best deal ever.
No, not here. Here it's 25% off.
He's getting
No, 50% off now at Hempton because you're getting.
Oh
2
yeah,
for 1.
Vindicator's the best deal. Thank you,
Vindicator's
Vinny.
the best deal, dude.
Once
That's-
again, Vindicator wins.
He out. You fucked us, Vinny. Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Vinny.
Good idea.
Yeah, appreciate it. So all these companies losing all this
Wizard.
business because everyone's entering code Vindicator.
Yeah.
No, fish it.
That'd be funny.
Fishheadfarms.com or at fish shit on Instagram. Remember, done deal, 25% off.
Cultured Biologics.
Cultured Biological.
Oh, look at that, Micro. Thanks, man.
What's going down?
He put the www dot all shit. so you
Check
can
out
go-
Culture Biologic and also check out their Discord channel. It's popping right now. They got tons. Like I was like, it's
It's like the
Di-
new forums.
Yeah.
You know? It's
Well-
like the new style forums.
Right.
Everybody's posting their texts and how they use it, how they're mixing it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's good. It's a good little community, but you can check out the website and of course contact them direct and check out their Eon line. That's what I'm using now. If you are a Patreon member, you've seen the garden. It's healthier than ever. That Mercenary is a great IPM product that you can use. It's got real light oils. He's been kind of tweaking the formula too. He took out the clove oil because you know he just like there's like certain oil. He's like getting feedback like, okay, no more clove oil. Can't do that. Okay?
Right.
Because people like you, they're like, dude, fucking clove
can
oil,
smell- all I
fucking
can
fuck my
smell is
shit,
it."
fucked up the whole shit. But it was
So
like,
is it an all-in-one or is it?
that is right there. And it's,
Yep.
but it's it's still like again, it's preventative. It's not
Yep.
an idea
It's
of like,
not.
hey, I got fucking a
Yeah.
bunch of shit now. Then this stuff don't work. It's like,
Yep.
yeah, you should be using this
Preventative.
all the time, but it smells. It's like it's got cinnamon oil and shit in there. I love cinnamon. That's one of those ones when you like the room is fucking. Because it used to be back in the day, I loved bleach, but that was only because I knew
the smell of bleach because then you know it's clean.
I was like
it's clean.
I was like, it's clean, bitch. But now I hate the smell of bleach because like it reminds me of just like soaking tools for fucking HPLVD now. Just, like,
I'm more of a sulfur guy.
And then I get it all over me because I forget and I fucking wipe it on my shit and I'm like, God damn it!
Everywhere.
Oh, my
You're
clothes.
like,
yeah.
Nice.
Dread posted a killer meme. It was like growers in like 2017 or 2015 or something like that, and it was just like all like certain like wearing like certain clothes and then basically the same clothes, but then all just fucking covered in fucking bleach stains like 2022. Everybody fucking freaking out because you just can't help it. You're like got nothing. You're like there. You're cutting. You're like, fuck it, wipe on shit. And and
they're going to start showing those videos of where you go around. They do the thermal scan of where you touched, and they'll do a grower and they'll show that you touch everything anyway.
Oh, you don't want to know. You don't even want to think. Actually, next week, speaking of which, we're getting Tasa on from Toomey Genomics. It's coming in, so
we'll do a black light scan.
Parts per billions. It's going to be the name of the show.
Culture Biologics.
Culture Biologics. Again, check out their Eon line and also contact them and get that done deal and jump on their Discord.
Always enter done deal.
I'm just proud of you for figuring out Discord, Adam.
Well, they made me because they wanted me to join it, and I joined it.
So
and then they actually had something going on. Like if I put my like ours,
so
I'm like,
end of the year.
I decided I'm gonna have Nick take it over.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, this should be run by my 11-year-old, so that'll be perfect for a weed Discord channel.
Yes,
and everybody like, who's the meme lord?
Yeah,
of the
totally.
You can partner up with Al's kid.
Fungi Farms with a Z.com. Enter done deal at checkout. You're going to get 20% off your order. You can buy all-in-one bags. You can buy cultures. He's a great guy. He knows a ton. If you have any questions, just hit the contact button. Tell him you heard it on the Adam Dunn Show.
Ooh, we just got the mother load today. We all got stocked up on some turp wipes. We were all going down to our last couple.
Oh, I was way back. I was down to like I was opening up like in my backpack. I have my little safety couple.
He was spitting on rags trying to.
Yeah, my last one stashed.
How do you buy turp wipes, Mark?
You go to turpwipes.com/done deal.
And there you go. That's it.
Turpwipes.com/done deal. The only way. You don't have to enter a promo code.
No.
It's already calculated. And do like Rosin Dogs does. Get a subscription.
Boom.
Look at Mike Denver.
Bio 365.
Are you going to tell the secret?
So if you are if you're a commercial grower anywhere in the country, if you're listening to us in a grow right now and you're saying, I'm really happy with the soil we use, whatever medium it is, no problem. You'll be just as happier if you send an email to donedeal@adamdunnshow.com and let us introduce you to Tim at Bio365. He'll have a pallet sent to you. You can run a comparison side by side, or 2 or 3, depending on the size of your grow. Okay? You run side by side. You will see the difference. You just got to trust me on this. And if you're listening to the show and you're a deadhead, this is a deadhead company right here. So you want to be spending your money here, and you want to switch over to Bio365. So go Bio365.com.
When we say deadhead, we mean
actually,
like
if you're still listening to the show, you're fucking awesome.
Not like a guy who happens to be a deadhead.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bio365.com. Numb nuts.
Just had a great conversation today with Adam Weiss.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We had a good...
What was it about?
Could have been here.
Right.
A lot of shit that we would never talk about.
During that whole talk, could have been like, "Hey, why don't you come in tomorrow?
He'll be great next week.
What time did you talk?
He'll just come back next week.
What time did you? Now I'm gonna call him, and then he's gonna tell me.
You live 5 minutes from here.
I do.
So what are you talking about? Numbnutsco.com. Enter done deal at checkout. You're gonna get 20% off their peanut butter. This
cinnamon
almond cinnamon.
I love it.
Holy fucking shit!
Dave keeps in his purse.
Like Napoleon Dynamite.
My purse?
I don't know. It's perfect for on the go.
Really? Because it's
just
pink?
Talk shit. That's
No.
it.
It's a fanny pack, bro.
It's a fanny pack.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good.
Fucker.
Fanny pack full of peanut butter.
If you're a medical patient in
Very
Colorado,
good.
look for their 1,000 milligram peanut butter on shelves.
Yeah, it's a knockout.
Yeah.
Numbnutsco.com. Humboldt humidors.
Look, we keep all our weed in here right now. I had to be reminded.
Yeah, I keep
anyway.
all mine in there too. Yeah.
It locks. You have a key.
Blue one really is nice too.
We have a lot of different ones. We have a blue one over there.
That one's got chip and fiber.
Mine has a glass
you're
window.
keeping yours here?
Mine has a
No, I
glass.
brought it today just because I didn't know what I mean. I just wanted to have a little selection in case.
It's
I like
almost
the
a
glass
It's like
window.
an
But it's-
old record like case or like a
Yeah.
cigar case. It looks really nice.
It's like it got that Wurlitzer jukebox feel to
Yeah,
it.
it's like
So you go to
nice.
HumboldtHumidors.com. You enter Dunn Deal at checkout. You get 20% off your order. They have a wide variety of boxes. Some have a glass on top. Some don't. They're all made here in Colorado in South Park.
That's like J-Lo's.
Oh, it's so sexy. Somebody called it my Barbie box.
Yeah. Oh.
Humble Humidors.
Oh, please.
.com.
Grab that one.
Such a good color.
S-Tech.
Did you fill it?
Tech.
I think we're
Close.
gonna have them on pretty soon too. I told him next week. I told him obviously when we give away the next light, which would be the first week.
Are we going to have Andy on so we can talk about his adult film career in China?
Uncle
Andy,
Andy.
is Andy? maybe.
That's funny.
We can have him call in at least.
Yeah.
From the set.
Oh gosh.
If you want to win an S-Tech, like hit up
Yep.
Dunn Deals. Or wait, what is it?
Done
Done
deal
deal.
at
At
AdamDunnShow.com.
That what it is.
With your
Oh
name.
my god. Cece fucked up and put the S at one point, and I was
Oh,
like, "Oh no, that was wrong." And then
That's
she was
bad.
like, "She fixed it though."
Oh, good.
I was
What,
like,
what do you need to put in that email, Mark?
You need to.
You have to say that
Your
you know the
name.
word. Which
What is the word?
The forever word is now midsteo.
Midstay.
It's just
Midsteo.
one word forever.
Do you
One
think
word.
Spell it any
midsteo?
way you
Yeah,
want.
Yeah.
we like all the different
Creativity
spellings.
to how
yeah,
you
the,
spell
the
it.
best
Do you-
spelling wins
Yeah,
usually.
But just
Usually.
say, light entry or
I
something.
have my way. Dave has his way.
Wait, how did I spell it?
Different than me.
I have it. I smell it like
I smell
my
it.
He's over there.
I'll
You
bet.
smelled it. You smelled it.
MIDZ
We all heard you.
TEO.
You smelled
I
it.
didn't use a Z.
I do.
Midsteo.
I do. Yeah.
DSTAYO.
MIDC.
That's the one
TAO.
I see too.
TAO. You do TAYO. No,
Later, Mike.
I did TAO.
TOE.
Anyways, yeah. So write us an email.
See, it can be so
Dundeal
many
at-
different ways. That's the best part.
So
AdamDunnShow.com.
these guys will have a lighting engineer come down,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll spec out, and they'll give you a lighting design plan. So if you do want
Yeah.
to convert over, or if you want to work into stages, they'll help you figure it out, and they'll
Right.
have it ready for you.
Yep.
Yeah, and they definitely have some pretty cutting edge shit because their lenses, which is that little part there, that's basically what they've patented, and already other companies are using it just because it is like
Right.
night
They're
and
selling
day.
it to them.
It-
Yep.
Yeah. So it's one of those like, oh well, they nailed it. And the thing is, the main guy Jack, who owns it, he's been doing lighting since like the street light days with LEDs, and that was his job. And he's in China, he's a Chinese guy, so he was putting out LEDs for lighting. And then when he saw like going off, he was just like,
I got
already
this.
15
I
years.
got it.
He had 15 years, and he had all those relationships too. So like the hardware is like the best of the best, and a lot of that shit is like people are buying it out of bins. You know what I mean? So like
Yep.
they're going like, give me these LEDs at this spec, and he's like, nothing he has will go to a bin first. It's already
Right.
been pre-selected, and then
Not
the shit goes in, and then it goes down the line. So,
Right.
yeah.
He's very selective in our.
And quality is important with that, because the thing is, it's like, you can switch them out if you have to, but it's like,
It's really not
it's kind of like
I want that.
the worst is if you have like patches. Maybe we've been through so many things with lighting, because it's like the original LEDs not so good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
for sure.
everybody's been through that. And like, this whole little thing like
What
doesn't
do I
work.
do about all these separate ones that are all out?
Yeah.
Like, well, you got to replace the whole thing.
And you
Yeah.
can't. Yeah, exactly. It's all locked in. But yeah, check them out. S-Tech Lighting.
Essay.
Essay.
stech.com.
There you go. You got it.
SeatsHereNow.com.
No, that's new.
Oh, that is new.
That's new. Oh.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, yeah, very
This is
nice.
new too. What's this little?
Hold on, show it to me.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah,
that's
not
orange.
real.
Orange. Okay, it's not licorice, as long as it's not licorice.
No, it's not vegan.
That's
Orange
That's
is gonna have
actually a,
gelatin in
I
it.
don't care. It's not
Uh-oh.
gelatin.
no. That's
Gelatin.
actually a Godiva.
Huh?
That's an actual Godiva.
Shut the hell up.
I don't know.
You know nothing.
It's got ground up kids in it.
It's just good
SeedsHereNow.com.
chocolate.
So 70 breeders. Nobody shares males. He is the most kind, honest seed vendor in the industry right now. So if you're going to buy genetics online, you got to be kidding me if you don't buy at SeedsHereNow.com. Oh, look at that. I didn't realize that.
What?
What?
He has that honesty.
Oh, look at you!
So-
you didn't know it, but you were looking at it. So you.
No, I
secretly
was
just
looking at his Seeds Here
said
Now
it.
logo and his new Seeds.
You were like, honestly, I don't know how.
Why
I
do you
said it.
insult the guy?
As he's reading it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just reading it off the screen over here.
Hashtag George Sand.
I'm reading off the screen all of the breeders that he has in his stable here.
Every single one of them,
And
all
look at
70
these
of
guys.
them.
You know all these names. You've heard all these names.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Talk over everybody. Enter Dunn Deal at checkout. You get 10% off your order. If he's running a special that is more than 10%, you cannot double stack your deals. Just enter Dunn
No
Deal.
double stacks.
Whatever discount is best, you'll get it. If you happen to go to his SHN auction site, any seeds you see there, that means out of all the packs that he received, nobody complained. Nobody had said, I fucked up. It was my fault. It wasn't your seed's fault, but I fucked up. Can you send me another pack? And James did. He had 2 packs of these in cold storage. And what does he do? He puts them up for auction. So you realize all your other growers out there have really edified these genetics by them even being in the vault. They said they worked. They all popped for me. They'll pop for you. So do like those growers, not like Mark, and do not leave them in paper towels for a long time. I know this is a 4-year running joke.
Like, how long did you leave it in the paper towel?
He's made up for it with all
No,
his
he
mushrooms.
said this my first show in March of
Right, stand back.
of 2018. And so, was it 2018?
I don't know, but I'm not going to ruin any of these seeds.
Yeah. So
because
go to
I'm not gonna touch
seedsherenow.com or shnauctions.com. Sorry, no done deal on the auction site because you're bidding.
The done deal is knowing about the auction site.
That's it.
Because
There
you don't
you go.
even, that's what's up. And also, we have one more. Check this out.
Check this out.
Adam Dunn Show merch. Get all your Adam Dunn Show merch. Adam Dunn Show merch.
so
Motherfucking
good.
Adam Dunn show.
Motherfucking Adam Dunn Show.
Oh shit.
Look at that. You can get it in red, green, blue, all kinds of colors.
Red, green,
And
blue.
I can
More
get my.
pages,
I can get
multiple
one
pages.
without.
That looks like
Without
that's Mark.
sleeves?
That's Mark right there.
Yeah, that's totally Mark. I'm definitely getting one without sleeves
And
because
2.
That's so you.
I definitely.
It is
hate
actually
sleeves.
you, but we shaved.
Oh,
your
that
arm.
does actually look like
That's
me.
totally. We picked
Those-
it out because it looks like you, right?
That's hilarious.
Deep
Isn't it funny?
faked.
Yeah.
That
But
is-
wait.
Everyone's got to think.
you
That actually
wear-
kind of looks
you
like the
wear
kid
those
right there.
shirts.
And that's the kid, right?
That's the kid.
I said it
Being
to
the kid,
Cece. I
dude.
said that to Cece. I go, we got the kid and we got
my
Mark.
gosh.
I don't know who we got down there. That's a little
Mark,
weird.
you
Yeah.
wear those shirts. Why are you laughing?
No, this is me.
That's 2.
Yeah,
That
no,
is-
no. You wear that sleeveless
Well,
one.
yeah, I
right
love
there.
that stuff.
Yeah, but look at
that's.
it.
I said I was gonna buy
That's
one.
2. Is
Your
that
Yeah, there we
boobs
go.
out there and
Sleeveless ones
everything.
Sleeveless 2.
Sleeveless
sleeveless
too.
too.
I don't know. That's not,
I don't know. That's
no, it's not.
The
Do
Frank
you
top.
get side moob?
Guys,
He always wanted the Frank
Anyways,
top.
so go buy some merch or something.
Go buy some.
There's
merch or
lots
something.
of other designs
You just have to go
that I'm not
find
showing
them.
you right here.
You can't find them because you're all
Who
lost.
bought-
Whatever, dude.
Show
You
Bunch of
know,
people bought merch.
more.
Shout
So-
out to
look at all
Tristan
those
for that.
women.
Look at that. Look at that.
Look at all this. You can get a pillow, a throw pillow
Get
for
your
your
It has no
Girl.
CBD in it.
for your
All of
smoke
it.
room.
Or seeds.
Anyway, so yeah, AdamDunnShow.com. Go click on merch, and that's
Got some new stuff
uh,
coming
Got
out. soon, too.
stickers?
And we have new stuff coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
keep
shit.
it
J-Lo
going.
headshot.
It's all coming in.
Not today. I
Crazy.
looked pretty rough
Crazy.
today.
What?
I had to actually work, okay,
You didn't
guys?
get your hair did
Let's
it?
take
No,
it
did it,
easy.
did it,
Let's
did
take
it.
it easy.
Had to
You
actually
didn't
work.
get
I
the-
work every time.
You didn't paint the face.
What are you talking about?
Anyway, join us on Patreon. If you want to, Adam spoke
And
about
I
it
look
earlier.
beautiful.
He has a grow, and you know what he does?
Yeah.
He takes a video of it and he shows it on the Patreons.
Oh, you know what we might be doing?
What do we might be doing?
What do we might be doing?
Oh, you want to tell them we're in Patreon, the 50-50 deal?
No.
Are we?
Wow, Vinny, you're like me.
Don't
You're
start
saying a whole
blowing.
bunch of shit. You blah 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 blah.
News,
blah,
news,
blah.
news, news.
Yeah,
Don't,
like that.
don't worry
Text
about
No,
it.
no,
Vinny.
no. Has
Don't
not
worry.
been
Talk.
That's a
haven't-
Mitch run there.
No,
Mitch
that
did
was
that all the
really
time.
hard.
Come on,
I would
turn
have
off
laughed.
Vinny's microphone.
Why?
He's blabbing.
But he's like running
You
that.
blabbed, Quaid.
He like
You
runs
blabbed
that whole
about
part.
Oz.
He like it's on his part of the desk over there.
I
Like
can't stop him.
that's all him.
Can't stop.
I just control how beautiful you look.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness! Can you?
You
give
failed
me-
miserably.
Can you give me a little? Yeah.
What have you done to this? Okay,
We're gonna
can't you
work
put
on it.
hair here?
There's
You
really
used to
not.
put the fucking Hershey's Kiss.
There's really not much I can do for
We're
you.
gonna-
years ago.
We're going to come in
Yeah.
at you low.
No,
Yeah.
don't do that. You got to come in high and down because then otherwise I look throaty.
So who else? Who else? So we got. So we got Toomey Genomics coming in. What else we got? You got a whole bunch of people that you were listing.
Yeah.
You don't remember anything. Look at him. He
Yeah,
remembers
you did.
nothing.
You understand?
I didn't.
Why didn't you write it down? There you go, Mark. Good. Hold on. Wait. I got to move this.
MTI.
Perfect.
I can see you.
Screenshot. Screenshot. I can't hold this.
I'm not doing it.
Nobody's doing it.
Yeah, no one's gonna do it.
No one wants to do it.
No.
Hold
Yeah.
on. Hold on.
I don't want to remember this like
No one
that.
even wants to do it.
So, fuck you, Dave.
Wow.
You weren't even doing it. You were too scared.
Yeah, he wasn't even doing it.
What a wuss.
I was holding it there.
Wow.
I thought you were flipping
I'll
us
bet
off.
you were.
No,
You should have been. That's what I would have been doing.
Well, I'm not you, Adam. That show would be boring.
Oh my God! All right, so
Oh, there it
it is, the Dave Show. If you want to entertain yourself and watch Dave smoke multiple joints at the same time and then eat buchakis, and he's gonna have buchakis thrown at we'll just cover him in buchakis.
No, we won't.
Yeah,
but
if you
maybe
wanna
we
do that.
will.
But maybe we will.
If you
never
join
know.
Patreon, you never know.
You never know, because Patreon is where it gets real weird.
We would never do
Like,
that to
now
J-Lo.
you
That
thought
would
this
be
was
very
weird.
wrong.
You thought this was
Of
weird.
course. Yeah.
Coming out with us for
It's a
the
really
hour, but you
sensitive
got to
crowd
join.
out
It's Adam. What is it? Patreon Adam Dunn Show. Or Adam Dunn Show?
Patreon.com/Adam Dunn Show, and I just put the link in the chat. So come join us.
Come join us.
And I hope that you got your.
You put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Emphasis.
Wrong syllable.
You just can't talk tonight. Those edibles. I'm telling you.
She's going down. You might watch J-Lo go down if you watch.
What?
Could happen.
No.
Trying to work on it.
What happened?
Nothing.
I think I'm just this.
Patreon time. Thank you.
Patreon time. Bye, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Thank you.
Yes.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip to Cannabis.
Fuck you, Dave.
I turned it on just for that.
We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. Want you to smoke the natural herb. Sweet. Some call it marijuana. Sweet. Some call it sesame. Sweet. Some call it Danceberg. And some people call it